Welcome, butt fart babies, to the Golden Butterflies podcast. The great console war has begun. We are all going to be in the arena killing each other, slitting each other's throats over video games because that is what gamers do. With me today, I have Abby.
Hi, I'm Abby.
Evil Rhoda.
Grrrr.
Kino.
My belly's full of Taco Bell.
And Z Cypher.
Hello, I'm back from the dead.
Holy crap, Lois. And it's me, Krona Gigadonk. I'm hosting this episode. Obviously. I'm a gamer. So I think to start off, we have to have a very deep philosophical conversation about console wars, what they are, where they come from. Basically, it's what happens when babies on the playground go up to each other and say, Xbox is better than PlayStation. And some third kid comes along who weighs like 500 pounds and crushes both of them with his fist and says, Nintendo's best, you fucking fags. Now, we're going to go around and figure out where each of us stand in this endless debate. It's been going on for as long as the universe has existed. I do believe ever since Jesus Christ slapped his butt cheeks together and birthed the universe from his gaping maw. I think that was when video games were invented. That was when the Magnavox Odyssey was created, which was a giant piece of shit. I think everybody agrees that video games weren't really good until at least like the 80s, maybe even 90s, depending on who you ask. We're all a bunch of Zoomers here, right? I don't think any of us are going to be coming up with any of the boomer dinosaur garbage, except Rhoda, maybe. I'm side-eyeing Rhoda.
Yeah.
We're going to find out.
I thought about saying the Sega Genesis, which is pretty old, but
it's okay. You have to realize that's not even as old as we're thinking.
Yeah,
they're talking like
I
pre-NES, I think.
talk about the Odyssey. But
Yes.
Yeah, those were pretty bad.
I think NES is as far back as I'm willing to go. Like, once I get to,
Same.
like, Zelda 1, Mario 3, I'm like, these are cool. And then when you go a little bit further back and you've got, like, Duck Hunt, I'm like, this is barely a video game. It's like stuff that's fun for, like, 5 minutes.
what about Pong, though?
Pong,
Man.
though.
Like Pong.
Okay. Pong.
Pong, my beloved.
Pong.
kind of
Cubert.
Tennis for two.
The sucky thing was,
Dude.
I grew up in like a third world country for a bit because when I was 3, we moved back to Nicaragua, and I literally kind of had that experience where it's like I could only play old video games, and so that was like all I knew. And when we moved back to the States, there was a console that came out while I was over there called the N64, and I had less games for the N64, but I immediately loved it like way more.
Yeah.
It was just so cool to me.
Ooh.
I think I got my start with, like, N64 and PS1, and I didn't know the games older than that even existed, really. Like, I guess we had a Sega at my grandma's house. So, like, for the longest time, the oldest video game I knew was Sonic the Hedgehog. And when I got old enough to know how to, like, buy games online, like on, like, the Wii Shop channel and stuff, that was when I got into stuff like Super Mario Brothers and Legend of Zelda. And they sort of branched out from there into like, okay, there's like a whole history of video games that I did not know about. That's why it's always weird to me when people nowadays will be like, video games are so cooked, games aren't good anymore, the industry's fucked, like, all we have now is PS5 and Xbox Series X, and all the games coming out all the time suck. Like, that just tells me you don't play enough games. Like, there's really cool games coming out all the time. You just have to know where to look.
Hear, hear.
And if there aren't any cool games coming out this month, there's like a million old ones you might not have touched yet. So
Yeah.
I don't understand.
Play old games. Old games are fucking awesome and they rule.
They're epic.
Especially because, like, we have, like, especially with the emulation scene, we have a lot of, like, old stuff on, like, the PlayStation and stuff that never made it overseas, that is getting translated by awesome people for free, that you can get for free and probably play on whatever potato you have, because it's the fucking PlayStation game. Like, you can play, there's new old games, at least new old for, like, people who weren't in the country it was made for.
Hey, let's be real. Emulation, that's, you do that on the computer, so it's not part of this podcast.
Well,
technically.
yeah,
Technically.
I will point out, like, yeah, emulation is cool, but to like focus on the console thing is that one thing that I feel sort of is missing from emulation is usually the controllers and like the experience of using like the original hardware.
Yeah.
Because sometimes there'll be stuff that is like weird in the emulation, and then you go play the game on real hardware, and it doesn't have like that weirdness to it. Like glitching of or flashing screens, stuff like that can happen in emulation that hasn't really been ironed out yet.
Yeah. Or just certain
And,
effects
Yeah.
that don't read well on like an HD screen versus an old television
Yeah.
set. Like, I know when
I
I
was gonna
play
say.
Sonic Origins, like the waterfalls look completely different from how they look on the old CRT setup.
Y'all are
Very
gonna
true.
hate my arguments then.
Well, that's the thing. It's not like a deal breaker for me. Like, I'll still play Sonic Origins and like it because it doesn't have the stupid Game Over Live system. It's just you know, it's just different things are worth checking out. And for me, I'm probably the biggest like retro game enthusiast here, just going off the size of my collection. Because when I lived with my dad and I had a full-time job and I wasn't paying rent, I accrued a ton of dorky shit. So like I have all the mainline Nintendo consoles. I have like all 5 PlayStations. I don't have a Vita, which kind of sucks, but I do have a lot of this stuff.
Dude, you should get okay, first, like, you don't even have to... I'm just gonna say, you don't actually have to buy games with the Vita. Just buy one from Japan. It's not region locked, and then you can do whatever you want with it.
You can
Whatever
have
they
your
make
way
you.
with that Vita, baby.
You really can.
This Vita will be whatever you want it to be.
Ooh.
Yeah, I've heard good things about it, like, as an emulation machine, which is cool, because I don't really have a portable emulation machine. Closest thing to that would be my Switch 2,
So
which
phone.
you have to pay like $1 million to play anything on it.
Boo.
So,
Yeah, and you need like a big ass cowboy holster to hold it around like a fucking gunslinger if you actually want to make it be truly
Yeah.
portable.
And
it's like a
The
foot,
Switch.
1 foot by 3 feet in size, and you need like a suitcase for it.
And not only that,
Yeah.
the N64 emulation, at the very least, isn't actually better than the open source emulators you can get for free.
Yep.
Yeah.
Ocarina of Time looks and sounds like garbage on my Switch. That's crazy. But yeah,
Actually, yeah, I think that's a good
Ocarina of
segue.
Time.
Like, what were people's experiences with, like, like, original consoles versus, like, the emulation? Like,
Ooh, honestly, the emulation doesn't bother me that much, but there is like, I feel like there's some charm lost to it by having everything be so crisp and clean. Like it's like the basic graphics and like the like old sound systems kind of contrast really heavily with like the new like speakers and monitors and controllers. So I feel like there's like some charm that's lost there. It's like some it's anachronism.
yeah. I think far and away the most noticeable change for me is input lag. And I don't even...
yeah, I hate that shit.
Even if I
Yeah.
have like a wired controller, there's still such noticeable input lag with some emulators. Like, especially noticed it with like MGBA. When I was trying to play...
GBA MUs are so bad.
Yeah. So,
I was trying to play Metroid Fusion on that thing, which has a lot of precision platforming and really hard boss fights, and I can feel like half a second of delay between my button presses. And it's evil. It just feels terrible. And also, emulating handheld games can be kind of a bitch sometimes if you're doing Game Boy games and you blow them up to full screen. You're taking a screen that has like 200 pixels at
Yeah.
most and stretching it across like a 1440 monitor. It looks really gross.
so
Yeah.
going back to the original hardware question, my first console was a Nintendo 64, and my second console
Nice.
was a Nintendo 3DS. Now, that's a bit of an oversimplification. My dad had a PS1, and I got to play it when I went over to his house. And my cousins who lived next door to me had a PS2, so I did get a chance to play on PS2. But other than that, between the N64 and the 3DS, it was basically whatever I could get my hands on for my PC, and most of that was Flash games and free downloadable games that I just found on the internet. But we're not here to talk about those. We're here to talk about consoles, and that was my console experience.
That's interesting because I kind of had a similar thing. So, like I said, I grew up with the NES, and then I think we also had a SNES, but when the N64 came out, like when we got that, when we moved back to the States, it was all over. I only wanted to play the N64, and because I was a baby, I wasn't even that good at the games. I would literally just sit there and like pull on Mario's face all day until like, you know, one of my siblings kicked me off and was like, I want to actually play the game. And then like the only games I was actually any good at were like Yoshi's Story and Diddy Kong Racing.
I had Yoshi's Story. I got it at a yard sale.
It's a lot better than people think. Everyone sees it and they're like, oh, it's not as good as Yoshi Island. Well, I never played that, but like Yoshi's Story is actually kind of fun because I feel like each time you play it, you can do different levels and it's like a different experience.
I do think Yoshi's Island was better. Like, I always wished I had that instead as a kid, but people shit on Yoshi's Story way too much. It was actually a fun game.
Yeah. I think
that's what I
both
think was the strength
okay.
of the 64. The 64 actually honestly does not, like, now that I'm collecting for it, I'm like, I feel like it doesn't have that many games, and like my mom only threw out like, I don't know, maybe like 15 games, and so like there wasn't that many games. I have like fond memories of pretty much all of them.
No,
Yeah.
it really did have a limited library because, you know, that was when Nintendo's hostility toward third-party developers like really started to bite them in the ass, because, you know, the Super Nintendo developers couldn't ignore, but by the time the N64 came out, the PlayStation was also around, and everybody was entranced by the possibility of CDs, but Nintendo was still on cartridges, so
I honestly still am kind of with them on that because like we had two PS1s. They were both buggy as hell, and the load times are freaking horrible.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, playing Tomb Raider was impossible. Sometimes we would just have to turn off the console like and put it back in, like make sure it's spinning properly, and then we'd come back, try to go into a level, and be like 5 minutes of load times. My sister would be like, "Go make me a tamale while we wait for this freaking game to load."
Yeah, that was like a thing because I've been getting back into like reconnecting with like the old PlayStation stuff with the PlayStation and PS2,
Nice.
and because those are consoles I don't have anymore. But one thing I have noticed that like, I mean, personally, I don't care that like what is it, like the fidelity kind of, you know, doesn't blur the textures as much, because I feel like a lot of the games still have aged well in terms of having just very good aesthetics and pixel art. But the big thing is that I think that the emulation is definitely, at least the emulators I use, you get like there's not a crazy input lag thing, and the load times are great, and the frame rates are consistent. It's like you can, I love like Duck Station. You can just play all these PlayStation games without, you know, having to go on a smoke break just because you died one time in a game. You can just go right back in, and it's fun.
That's awesome. That's definitely my experience with that generation of consoles as someone who regularly plays with like every generation of console from like NES to current. Anytime the mood hits me that I'm like, I want to play like early 3D graphics stuff, it's always the best at like ambiance and just like making a weird otherworldly setting feel tangible and real and kind of dreamlike. Because you boot up the original PlayStation and it makes like space alien noises. It's like beaming you up. It goes like,
It's so cool.
It's bizarre. And back then, that was when CGI was becoming more widespread and commonplace because it was new and flashy, but it wasn't good yet. So every studio would have this long animated logo. So you just like turn on like, I don't know, a Bug's Life, the video game, and it would hit you with like the Traveler's Tales logo, and it would have some weird little fucking furry animal thing on a hilltop, and then it would like zoom out and the logo's floating on the ocean or some shit, and then you like boot up Spider-Man on PS1, and it would show the Neversoft logo, which was a little eyeball with a gross bloody eye stalk attached to it, getting stabbed by the letter T, getting like impaled on the letters.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
Okay, did they also work on the Tony Hawk games, or was that a different? Am I thinking something else?
So. Maybe. I have Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2.
I do remember that.
Yeah.
What's funny is I didn't own a lot of these games. My brother would borrow them from like his richer friends, and we would just like play them on our consoles. And then I also didn't get to play the PS2 upset at my babysitter's house, and they had like Spyro and Ty, which I thought were like I think those were PS1 games, but I thought they were like the best games ever.
Ty was actually Ty the Tasmanian Tiger was actually a PS2 game. I remember because my cousins had it, and we took a whole day and beat it because they didn't have memory cards.
Hell yeah.
That's amazing.
Oh god, remember how the N64 had memory cards, but there were only like 4 games that actually used?
Yeah.
Bomberman 64 is one of them. And do you know the worst part about those memory cards?
Yeah.
They had batteries in them.
Nice.
Just like the Game Boy games. Like the Pokemon ones.
That's crazy.
I'm just glad that you can buy them. Like, you can get cheap new ones on Amazon for like $1, and they're smaller, so they're like flush with the hole in the back of the controller, which is really satisfying. But yeah, no, the only N64 game I had that used memory cards was Rayman 2. And we had like a dozen other games that were fine. So it's like, I'm just never going to finish Rayman 2, I guess. Who cares? It's Rayman 2.
Yeah, back to like the aesthetics thing.
Yeah.
I wanted to say that I love that era so much of the early 3D, especially around the PS2 and like especially the PlayStation era, because along with the crazy third-party support both those consoles had, then that was an era where there wasn't such a huge discrepancy for the graphical quality that you'd see in a AAA game versus like a AA game or a single A game. All of these different budget games kind of came out still with the same level of capability. So you often, if you wanted your game to really look cool and catch people, you had to put effort into the aesthetic. And so that, for one, the game could actually fucking run on the console, but then so that it could actually be eye-catching, because, you know, you don't have ray tracing, you don't have a lighting engine that can do all the work for you. You have to be intentional with how everything looks, and I think it's made a lot of games that I just, you know, you hear a lot of younger people, they're like, oh, this game looks bad because it's old, and I'm like, I don't know, I think the shit looks fucking cool, because sure, it looks a little bit weird, but the art design is so solid, it doesn't matter. It just fucking rules.
Yeah.
Something that
go ahead.
pisses me off about new like console games is that so many are just carried by like the company spends a lot of money on the graphics and it just looks really realistic, but there's no like visual heart to it.
Yeah.
They don't really like.
Yeah, exactly.
They don't pay artists to like design cool things as much. It's more just like, it looks like it could be in my room and real, therefore it's good. And like sometimes they'll rely on that to make up for the game being bad too.
It's kind of like they get so mired in building an experience that actually playing the game is boring, because you have to sit through a lot of cinematics and like automated like gameplay. Like that's me every time I play the new God of War games. I'm like, the story is cool and all, but I don't need the characters to stare at each other for 15 seconds between every word they say. I would like to get back to the... I just want to kill things, but the game keeps making me do these, like, climbing scenes where I'm just holding up with the thumbstick, and he's climbing, and there's no skill involved or anything. It's just like, what is this?
And honestly...
I think...
Honestly, that's a...
Push the analog stick forward.
And honestly, that's a tale as old as video games itself, because, you know, game studios and publishers have always been putting out games with these amazing lifelike graphics, and you look back at the ones from the 90s and then the 2000s, and it's like, well, that's nothing compared to today, you know? And it just never ages as well as... Because personally, I think, for example, Banjo-Kazooie on the N64 still holds up because it had a good art style. But, you know, of course, you look at, I don't know, Medal of Honor on the PlayStation 1, and it looks ridiculous because it was supposed to be photorealistic, but the technology just has blown it out of the water since then.
Okay, I will say that actually Metal Gear is one game that I think the Metal Gear Solid on the PlayStation does hold up, but I think that is because like Shinkawa Yoji's great at designing, you know, very sleek looking characters and mechs and shit. That game still holds up, but yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Lots of games that were trying to be realistic don't hold up nearly that well unless they're still Unless it was like a DMC where it's like, yeah, we're still trying to make this shit look cool as fuck and just the raddest thing ever.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, it's always been about like the realism doesn't matter nearly as much as just does this look like picturesque and like interesting in a kind of artistic way. Like I feel like Naughty Dog gets shit on a lot for chasing these trends with the realism and stuff, but I think Naughty Dog's actually one of the best at making like photorealism that looks nice. Like I don't know, I played like Uncharted 4, and it's not just that it looks real, it's like they build these really fucking cool looking landscapes where it's like you can just see for like a million miles over this like mountainside, and it looks really cool.
So
It's very
I kind of
pretty.
want to segue to something I've been thinking about.
Yes.
So I think the console wars now feel a bit like dated because all the consoles just kind of feel the same. Like all the
Yeah.
graphics are the same. Everything's available on every console. It doesn't feel like there's a difference.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, for sure.
I think one of the things like back in the 90s was that the companies themselves were kind of pushing this. Like I remember seeing the ads that were saying like Sega does what Nintendo don't.
Yeah. The 90s, I think, I don't remember this because I wasn't really alive for it, but my understanding
You were an amoeba.
from cultural osmosis, my
a
understanding
past
is that the
life.
90s was when console wars were like the fiercest they'd ever been, because it was, you know, it was like the height of the tech arms race being pushed so hard by video game consoles trying to outdo one another, trying to say like, well, the Sega Genesis has blast processing,
Blast process.
goofy shit.
And it was kind of like a bubble that popped. It was interesting because it was like so, like there was so much money to go around back then, and then all of a sudden it was just like not. And then if you adjust for inflation, it was like the consoles were not that affordable. Like I think they were like $100 at the time,
Yeah,
but
that's
like
true.
that was a
The
lot more
consoles
money
were
back
pretty
then.
expensive.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was true.
I remember participating in console wars as a kid, but for me it was always Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo for me, not Nintendo versus Sega. And
Yeah.
it was really weird because
Yeah.
it was just about standing whatever console you happened to have because you're a dipshit baby and you just wanted to justify like, no, this thing I like is good, without actually...
Nintendo's gay. There's no blood in the games. It's not realistic. It's gay and it's lame.
That's
You don't play
lame.
Call of Duty. There's no blood in it.
It's most of what I
Lame
remember is having to
loser.
defend Nintendo. It's just
I
everyone...
think the console wars were at their best when it was arguments about what games the companies were making
Yeah.
and like who was
Yeah,
using
for
the
sure.
technology best rather than who just had the best technology. I always had all the consoles, so I was actually like engaging in like thought about which ones were doing it better. But a lot of the people around me did not have. They only had like one.
Like I felt like I was constantly learning like shocking new things because I didn't have a PS3. I had a PS1 and a PS2, but during the PS3 generation, my brother got us an Xbox 360, which I was like, ew, why? And you know, I was all about it for a while, just because I had so many games on my Xbox, and every time I heard something about like, oh, in this particular way, the PS3 is actually better. Like the PS3, you don't have to pay to play online. I'm like, that's insane. I just assumed that was the default because of Xbox, and then PlayStation and Nintendo both started charging
Followed.
eventually.
Yep.
Like, this is
Xbox made it
evil.
the default. You bastards.
Yeah, and that's why I've had like a massive hate boner for Xbox ever since, because I blame them for ruining other video games. It's like
Same.
making everything more expensive and shittier, but like there are some things the Xbox did better. Like there are a lot of games that just ran worse on PS3 for whatever reason.
No,
Yeah,
The controller feels
It's-
better too, honestly. I think the triggers feel a bit better.
Well, the reason
Yeah.
your games feel better on 360 than PS3 is because they developed it for the 360 first and then
Yeah.
ported it to the PS3. It was kind of an afterthought
Yeah, it
usually.
was a port machine.
Load times were consistently better across like every game on the Xbox compared to the
Yeah.
PlayStations. I didn't have a PS3. I had an Xbox original, a PS1 and 2, and then I had an Xbox 360. Even on the Xbox original, games loaded faster than PS2 games.
Yeah.
I think
Mm-hmm.
Xbox had the advantage of it coming out later than the other consoles in its generation, so it just got to look like way better in comparison.
Yeah,
Yeah, for sure. I think Xbox has always been like the stronger of like the consoles in each generations.
yeah.
sure.
The OG Xbox did come out late and got a boost because of that. The 360, they rushed it out in 2006 before everybody else got the chance to put their console out, and that's kind of why you got the Red Ring of Death and all those other bugs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think aside from
Very
the like
true.
obvious hardware issues with the Xbox 360 is just freaking dying,
Yeah.
it was like a really good console, I think.
Oh yeah.
The
It
controllers
was
were
fire.
pretty decent. I vehemently despise the PS3 controllers, and I don't know what it is about them. They just feel wrong. I think it has to do with the triggers, and I don't know. Something about
Yeah.
PS3 controllers just throws me
Yeah.
off. I'm perfectly
The
fine with
triggers
the
are
other
weird.
PlayStation ones. It's just the 3. It feels cheap
think-
and stinky.
The Xbox 360 controller kind of gets credit for like creating the standard controller layout.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
It
what we
does.
now consider like standard was kind of caused by the 360.
Yeah.
Didn't the
which-
360 was that the first controller that had like the gun style triggers where they
Offset
would
sticks?
Yeah.
they were concave instead of convex, and
yeah.
so they feel just much better to kind of put your fingers around. I'm probably wrong on that.
No, you will not disrespect the Dreamcast.
Oh yeah.
Oh, District Dreamcast, that console got clapped. Hate these people.
It's true. It deserved
No,
better, but
It's all about
did not
timing,
get
really.
there.
It was just the worst timing possible. It was the wrong console. It was the wrong time, wrong place. But I love.
So
the
it wasn't just that. It was the. So this actually goes back to like the tail end of the Genesis era, all the way through the Sega Saturn, and then the Dreamcast.
Ooh.
You know, not only what did they make mistakes with the Dreamcast, all the mistakes before that compounded, and they just
Yeah.
that was a console they couldn't afford to make mistakes with. Because I mean,
But what do you mean,
Yeah.
like more specifically? I don't really know what you mean by like mistakes compounded.
so imagine if today Nintendo of America was trying to do stuff, but Nintendo of Japan was actively trying to sabotage them. Like that's the situation between Sega of Japan and Sega of America in the 90s. Okay, the right hand didn't just not know what the left hand was doing. The right hand was actively trying to stab the left hand. I'm sure you all remember the 32X from the Angry Video Game Nerd. So
Of course.
that was a Sega of America thing, I believe, and it was a stupid idea, and I forget the specifics, but they kept adding on shit to the Genesis, and then the Saturn was right around the corner. Well, with the Saturn, they made an even bigger mistake because they found out the PlayStation was coming out, and they were like, oh my god, they're both going to come out in November or whatever. And so Sega came out and just out of the blue was like, okay, we're actually releasing in March. And that pissed off all the retailers. I'm pretty sure EB Games and maybe even Walmart refused to stock Sega consoles after that.
Damn.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Damn.
So it wasn't just the Dreamcast. The Dreamcast was like just it made a few mistakes. They made major mistakes long before that completely sank them.
Actually, it was piracy, dude. It was totally piracy that killed it. It couldn't have been all that.
I think what really killed it, above all else, is that the Sega Saturn didn't have a new Sonic game.
Oh yeah, that's
Oh my
Dude, they
God.
kept pirating Ikaruga and Echo the Dolphin. Of course, that killed
Okay.
the console.
Nobody's buying that motherfucker for Nights into Dreams. It's not.
yeah.
happening.
Listen,
No.
that even the new Sonic game, even that was a consequence of the feud between Sega of America and Sega of Japan, because Sega of America I believe, were the ones behind the new Sonic game on the Saturn, and they were using the Nights into Dreams engine. And when Sonic Team found out about that, they were like, "No, fuck you! You can't use that." So, yeah.
That's crazy.
Look,
So that's why you didn't have a Sonic game on the Sega Saturn, except for like Sonic Jam, which was a compilation.
Huh.
it's a total shit show.
Crazy.
Yeah.
But the Dreamcast had Shenmue. The most
It had
realistic
Shenmue
looking
and it had
game ever.
Ikaruga. What do you mean?
Ikaru is really cool.
It is cool. It's so
That's the one
fucking
with like
epic.
switching polarity, right? It's like the shoot 'em up.
Yeah.
Game? Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. Isn't it like only like 20 minutes long when you actually know how to play it? That game's short as shit, but it's hard as fuck. It
Yeah,
fucks.
I love shoot 'em ups. It's
Alright.
like,
I do
it's-
too.
a lot
Alright.
of shoot 'em ups. Sorry.
No, you're fine. Sorry. We're about half an hour in. I think it's time to start going around, and each of us will announce which console we're championing for the war here, and then we will get all of our torches and our pitchforks, and we will start slaughtering each other to death over which consoles is best and which ones is stinky.
Okay. I'd like to go last because I might consider doing a different thing.
Okay.
But I gotta see what other people are doing first.
All right, then I guess we'll just go down in alphabetical order, excluding Abby. So starting with me, I am all about the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, also known as the Super Famicom if you're gay. It's the coolest console
But
ever.
we're gay.
It fucking rules, and it's not about like, oh, which console can like run the most games, which one can emulate all the most games. It's like if I was stranded on a desert island with nothing but my Super Nintendo, I'd be perfectly fine with it because its library by itself is cool enough to be sufficient. Like, there are so many bangers. And when I think of other video game systems, like, I can think of consoles that have a lot of bangers on them, like the PS2 or the Sega Dreamcast, but like it's with the Super Nintendo, it's like a concentration of like there are dozens of games that are not just games that I like, but games that I'm like, oh, I love this fucking thing. Like, I could play this forever.
Yeah.
Just so many like all-timers, It's got like Super Metroid is probably my favorite on there. There's Chrono Trigger, there's Earthbound, Mario RPG, Final Fantasy VI. You got Super Mario World with the compilation cartridge with all the old Marios on it. You got A Link to
love
the
that.
Past. You got
Mega Man X.
Mega Man X is awesome. Castlevania
Mega Man
4.
X.
It's like, these games are so fucking cool, and it's not just that the games are like good, it's also that the console has its own unique sound chip, and the way that every game sounds has a really specific flavor to it that other consoles don't have.
Yeah.
It's like Super Nintendo music just has this kind of like, it's kind of like if you took the sound of someone banging a metal trash can with a baseball bat and then morphed that through like the ear holes of an angel from another planet, and they transmitted that signal into your brain and turned it into the coolest fucking metal soundtrack you've ever heard. It's just like, I don't know, anyone listening to this, go pause the podcast, go look up Mega Man X Boomer Kuwanger. The Boomer Kuwanger music is fucking rips. It's just this loud, like, basically like,
Listen to the menu soundtrack too. Just the whole soundtrack. That game fucks.
I really liked Storm Eagle. Storm Eagle's theme.
Yeah,
My
Storm
favorite.
Eagle. My goat.
Mega Man X particularly does a good job of translating like steel guitar noises into this like
It does.
16-bit sound chip. It's really fucking cool.
Chrono Trigger also had one
It
of
is the
probably
best
the
game ever.
best like retro soundtracks out of like any game I can think of.
Chrono Trigger's main theme is like one of my favorite songs I've ever heard, period.
Several of its songs are like extremely beautiful, I think, frankly.
Yes. I've listened to, like, there are so many Super Nintendo games, like, I listen to the soundtrack outside of the game. I don't do
Yeah.
that with other games. I drive my
think
car
Super
down the
Nintendo-
highway, I'm going like 80 miles an hour, and I listen to the F-Zero music, and I feel like a god.
That
Where-
sounds fucking peak.
I think they really put a lot of effort into making sure that the composers got the most out of the like sound system, which you don't really see as much for, I think, even like the slightly newer consoles like the Xbox and like PlayStation 1 through 3. I don't think those even took as much advantage of their sound systems as the Super Nintendo did.
Oh, for sure.
True.
And it's not even like, sound aside, there's also the graphics, like the particular flavor of graphics that Super Nintendo has, because it, 16-bit is like the sweet spot for me. That's the sweet spot for a lot of people. That's where like a lot of indie games take inspiration from, because you look at older 2D games and they can look cool, they have their own charm, but 16-bit is where they really perfected like the art of 2D graphics. And there's a few 3D games on there too, like Star Fox, which look rough and run really badly, but I mostly focus on the 2D stuff, like all the, like, there were a lot of effects that were becoming a thing for the first time, like being able to make things in the background get bigger and smaller so they could do perspective shots. There's Mode 7, all that stuff. Lots of effects that at the time were cutting edge that now are quaint, but they look so weird that it's kind of cool in its own way. And then there's like the hardware too, like the controller is like the best controller ever. I've never felt a D-pad that felt more precise or accurate than that one. There's lots of cool accessories, like the Super Game Boy. You can play Game Boy games on the TV, and you can change all the colors to be whatever you want them to be. It's awesome.
I think that the Super Nintendo is a really great contender for like best consoles for their time.
Yeah, for sure.
It's hard for me to have an opinion on the Super Nintendo because it was I mostly only played it when I was literally a goo goo gaga baby. But it's weird because I do remember playing like the original Mario games, and like I enjoyed them, and like that was sort of the thing about like older consoles, is that it captured the imagination slightly more, whereas like now everything's just sort of like spelled out for you and you don't really have much room for imagination.
Yeah,
that's something I think the Super Nintendo did really great, is that like it made a lot of use out of like technique to, even though like those consoles didn't have that much power relative to like newer ones, they used it so effectively that like it goes above and beyond like what the console is even capable of. Like the games hold up.
Yes.
Like people still use like indie styles, like Chrono was saying, like indie games still use styles like that, and it still holds up.
Yeah.
Because like that is just, they got so good at making games in that like medium that like it didn't even matter how limited the hardware was, really. They were still able to tell really good stories and make really good games out of it.
Absolutely.
Part of me misses the limited hardware because games used to come out in a lot less time than like 7 years.
Yeah, for real.
Every game takes like 500 fucking years, and you only get like, it looks like, especially a lot of these big companies, they're like, oh, we're gonna make like 2 games, and then we're on to the next console. I'm like, no, I think we could stick with the PS5 for another 10 years at least, because like, come on, the library is not that big. We could slow down on that. Definitely.
Yeah,
I don't think things are like using these consoles to their fullest.
Yeah, it's like the hardware is plateaued
before.
for a long time, and they're trying to make up for it with software, but software takes so long to make. Like, not too long ago, I looked up the release date for every game in my Super Nintendo collection, just out of curiosity to like what the timeline was. Like, if I was alive at this time, and I was a nerd who was actively buying Nintendo games, like keeping up with the new releases, being like, oh my god, a new game came out, I want it, I would have gotten Donkey Kong Country, and then Donkey Kong Country 2 the next year, and then Donkey Kong Country 3 the year after that. Like, they all come out so fast, and there would be like 4 or 5 masterpieces per year, which is insane.
That's what's crazy to me, is when I look back at like how quickly Final Fantasies were released, and the time, like I think Final Fantasy 7, it took like 2 years to make or something, and then I look at the Final Fantasy remake and I'm like, I don't even want to play it because I don't want to be stuck waiting several years for the next installment to come out.
Oh, and you reminded me, bringing up Final Fantasy 7, is that like the console generation that immediately followed the Super Nintendo, it was a totally different world, because it feels like with the Super Nintendo everything was fast, like everything was super fast, everything loaded instantly. You would just pop a game in, switch it on, and the game would boot up, and you could go through the start menu, and then the game would just begin. And unless you were playing an RPG, there'd be like little to no text, and you would just start playing. And
Yeah.
games just aren't like that anymore. Like, every game is designed to be as easy to follow as possible for, like, a grandma who's never touched a computer in their life. And back then, it was like, you just read the manual. If you don't know what the fuck you're doing, you read the instruction book. You're expected
Frankly,
to.
I think that's like a
Look at all the
AAA
cool little
game
drawings
issue.
in there too.
Yeah.
I think
Man, it's
indie
cool.
games have always been a lot better at staying in tune with,
Yes.
Yeah.
video gaming as culture instead of video gaming as like a product to
Yeah.
sell.
For sure.
For
Like,
sure.
you buy a new AAA game, to this day, they still tell you, like, use the left stick to walk around. Use the right stick to look around. Like, that's how every
Like-
game starts now.
It's
Press
funny
square
because
to attack,
controls,
X to jump. It's like they all
controls are
play
like
the
kind of
same.
standardized now. Yeah, like
Yeah.
even on the ones where it's like, oh, okay, Nintendo has like the A/B switch from Xbox, which has the A on the bottom and the B on the right. Like, even that's not like the bottom buttons always jump, no matter what.
Yeah.
I think that I think the most like revolutionary thing that happened was that I think, at least to me, I'm probably wrong. I feel like Dark Souls kind of like switched it up to where square was no longer attack, and now you're using like the bumpers and shoulders for your hand attacks and defense stuff. That's like the biggest thing that's happened ever, and then ever since then, it's just kind of mostly been that.
I do think it popularized that, yeah. And, when I think about, like, the difference between generations, I think the Super Nintendo, for, like, 2D games, that, like, the sky was the limit. They kind of, like, it felt like they could do anything with a 2D game. And then once the
Yeah.
PS1 and N64 came out, it was like, oh, 3D is totally possible now, so we're going to invest all of our games into that. And suddenly it was like 2D games were now unpopular baby trash, and that was all for grandmas. We want all the cutting edge stuff. But the cutting edge stuff
Yeah.
is now horrendously old and decrepit compared to what came with the PS2. So, like, when I say, like, earlier, the PS1 is like, it's like transporting you to another world and it like nails the ambiance. The counterpoint to that is that the PS1 is the most sluggish console of all time, and every single thing you play on it is going to be 10 times slower than what you're used to if you play like new video games all the time. So it's kind of like I love Metal Gear Solid and I love Resident Evil 2, but if I'm going to play those games, it's like I got to set aside, got to set aside a few hours of my day, got to light a few candles,
Crash Bandicoot, Wrath of Cortex
get myself all
was
comfy.
one of my favorite games as a kid. The Wrath of Cortex Crash Bandicoot game, and like when I first got the console, it was like okay, like there was long load times, but like when my console started getting up in the years, there was like 30-minute plus load times.
Holy shit!
And it was just not worth playing anymore.
What the
It
fuck?
like kind of ruined the console. Is
Yeah.
like how long the load times like got. I think the discs being so vulnerable to scratching was a big issue with that. I think discs are
Yeah,
not the
this
best
kind of
medium.
suck. Okay, so it's kind of funny, just a side tangent. I played Final Fantasy VII when I was like in 8th grade. It was already like more than 10 years old at that point. And I looked at the graphics. I was like, these graphics look terrible. But then I went to go, I was like, I think my brother played this game in front of me when I was a kid. And so I went to go dig in the closet. I found it. A box copy of Final Fantasy VII, all 3 discs in pristine condition. And I played the fuck out of it for an entire month. And I was so immersed that I didn't even notice how fucking shitty the graphics looked because the world was like so captivating to my mind. I had never played a Final Fantasy game, and I was just like, this is so huge and so vast, and there's so much going on. There's so many secrets. I'd never played like a good RPG besides Pokemon, and I was just like, this is the best game ever. And then the second CD got scratched, and I never was able to play it again. And back then, those games were worth a lot because they hadn't been ported to anything yet. So the only way to get them was to sail the high seas, and it didn't run amazingly on my laptop that was like, really old and crappy. So I had to wait until it started getting ported to other systems to play it again.
So sad. It's funny to me that you say like, oh, the graphics are so bad, because that Final Fantasy VII is one of my favorite examples to tell people, like, when I play an old game, I don't think the graphics are bad. More often than not, I find myself feeling impressed that they could do that much back then. Like when I booted up Final Fantasy VII in like, I want to say like 2017 or something. I was probably in high school at the time. I watched the opening cutscene where it switched from a pre-rendered video seamlessly into the pre-rendered background of the train, and the little Lego people jumped out of it, and it was suddenly gameplay. And I was like, I didn't know they could do that back then. What the fuck?
What's crazy, what kind of turned me off from seeing like still screenshots is like I did not like how the Lego people looked. They look great in the battles. I think the battle models actually hold up, but the backgrounds were what I really loved, and that's why I wanted to go play Final Fantasy 8 and 9, because they also have a similar style background. I just really love how it looks.
Final Fantasy 9 looks so fucking good, but yeah, I think I said my piece on the Super Nintendo. If we want to move on to Evil Roto's funny pick for the bestest gamer console of all time.
All right. Okay. So I was split on this. So I actually have two picks. I have a number one pick and a number two pick. I have both the pee-pee and the poo-poo. Okay. So
all right.
So my number two pick is the 3DO. Okay, the 3DO was an
banned.
What?
Banned. Banning you from the banned from everything.
Banned.
What?
I don't know
Okay,
what the 3DO
so-
is. What is that?
Wrote a quick hack to the
So
mainframe so you can't get
3DO
banned.
Was a CD-based console. It came out before the PlayStation and the Saturn, and it kind of ended after the PlayStation came out. The PlayStation didn't kill it. It's just sleeping. Okay, everyone? It's not dead. It's just sleeping. Okay.
Looks like a
Yeah,
VCR.
it kind of does. It was back when you know, these companies, you know, we were talking earlier about the CDI. I don't know if that was caught on the actual episode proper, but but the CDI was kind of a multimedia machine. In a lot of ways, the 3DO was way more gamey, but it was also trying to be a multimedia kind of machine. There is porn on the 3DO, and I don't mean like porn games. I mean porn distributed as CDs, like for the 3DO. You play them on the 3DO. It's literally just a porn film.
That's goated.
So it sounds to me like what you're describing is the good version of the Xbox One, because it's got porn.
Yes. Actually, so funny story. A lot of the people who worked on 3DO and were working on the M2, which was like an updated 3DO, you know, the sequel to the 3DO, which never came out, they moved on to work on Xbox. So there is actually some lineage there.
Okay.
But
that makes sense.
No, the 3DO had a lot of weird games. It had a lot of garbage, but you know what? If you're a bit of a Kusoge hunter like myself, that's just makes it prime real estate. You know, one funny thing about it is the controllers. You only had one controller port. The second controller port was on the controller, so you daisy chained them together.
Oh my God.
No.
Yes.
No.
Oh yeah.
This is making the N64 look
So
good.
another funny thing about it is the 3DO company did not make the 3DO. They licensed the design out to other companies, which is why you'll see a lot of people listed as the Panasonic 3DO. I think that was the most popular model. Gold Star, which would later become LG, also made a model. I think Sharp made a model. I forget. I think there was one other company, but I forget who it was. But I think that's a really interesting part of its history. And one thing I wish would happen is I wish somebody would open source the hardware designs of the 3DO. Let us make our own homebrew 3DOs. I think that would be sick.
So is this a troll, or do you actually think this is one of the best consoles?
So I like it. Like genuinely, I have a lot of
Okay.
affection for it. Yeah.
That's fair. I respect it.
Okay.
Let's say I look it up, and the first thing that comes up is Gex.
Yes,
so that's
Gex-
why I'm kind of
Gex
wondering.
was
Like,
first on the 3DO. So, you're talking.
Yes.
He's like the Mario
Yeah.
of the 3D.
Listen, you're talking to the guy who owns 2 Sony Mavicas. If you don't know what a Sony Mavica is, it's the digital cameras Sony made that take floppy disks. Okay, I love stupid old shit like that.
Jesus
That's fucking cool.
Okay.
That's rad.
My number one
The
pick.
Tiger wrist game.
No, it's not. It's another CD-based
Hell
console.
yes.
The Sega CD. And I'll tell you why it won out over the 3DO. It's because I have a lot more nostalgia for the Sega
right.
CD.
Because of Sonic CD?
Okay, because I never owned a Sega CD. I played it on an emulator on my shitty old PC with half a gig of fucking RAM. And by the way, that PC had a CRT monitor. So I was playing retro games on a CRT, on an emulator. But I remember playing it on Kega Fusion, which was this old-ass emulator that's long been discontinued. It was by Steve Snake, who used to work for Sega, so it probably has proprietary Sega bits in it, which is why it will never be open source. But I played Sega CD games without save states, because that emulator emulated Master System, Genesis, 32X, and Sega CD. And Sega CD was the only one without save states. I don't know why. It just was.
Damn.
I actually have Kega Fusion installed on my computer. I use it for all the old
Nice.
Sonic games.
But
That was how I beat Sonic 3 for the first time.
I remember
Nice.
playing Snatcher on Kega Fusion and getting stuck on the last light gun section. And I was like, oh my god, I'm going to take a break. I'm just going to go to bed. And then the next day I finished it and I'm like, why did I have trouble with this last night? But one of the things that the Sega CD, and honestly the 3DO as well, because the same company was behind these, the Sega CD is known for FMV games. And, oh yes,
Night Trap.
Night Trap. Imagine having a game on your console that was the subject of a congressional inquiry alongside fucking Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, that did happen.
Listen. The funniest part about
It's
Night
satanic.
Trap is I bought it on the Switch, and I've watched the actual inquiry, and when I bought it, I could hear the then president of Nintendo of America in my head saying that Night Trap will never be on a Nintendo console. Yes. Yeah. And actually,
Amazing.
those games do have a really interesting history as well, because they were originally going to be on the Hasbro Nemo, which was a video cassette-based console that was canceled, obviously.
Cassette-based console. How the fuck would that even work?
It like switched between different tracks on the tape. If you play like, well, if you play,
That sounds
if
awful.
you play like Super
That
Shark,
does sound-
you can kind of see how that might have worked. It's a little bit easier than maybe Night Trap to see how that would have worked.
Okay.
But and a lot of these games, like I said, are on the 3DO, but there's a certain charm to the Sega CD versions. Because imagine your full motion video, right, running at 144p with sand on top of it. It's just, it's so fucking funny. And of course, it does actually have a few bangers. Like I mentioned Snatcher before. I remember really loving this game called The Third World War, which was like a strategy game. There was Terminator on the Sega CD, which had an amazing soundtrack. And speaking of soundtracks, if there was a Genesis game ported to the Sega CD version, and you have the opportunity to play the Sega CD version, play the Sega CD version, because it will have way better music. And one more thing I wanted to mention before I went, one other thing that was really interesting when I played these games as a kid, the way they were packaged when I downloaded them at the time, it was like there was one ISO file that was the actual game. That was what you loaded. And then there were a bunch of MP3 files that came with it, and that was all the game's music. So you could load all that music onto like your iPod or whatever, and these games aren't distributed like that anymore. I don't know why. I don't know what changed in the game ripping meta, but you can't do that anymore. So yeah, that's my piece on why the Sega CD and 3DO are cool.
I mean,
That is pretty cool.
Pretty epic. I think, as far as the Sega CD is concerned, I personally don't know that many Sega games that I find very interesting. I have a small handful of them because I just got a Genesis like last year. It's pretty sick. And I thought about getting a Sega CD attachment for a Sonic CD, because you know me, I love the original hardware. I've only ever played Sonic CD in the Origins collection and the PC port, and those are cool. So I'm like, I want the original one so I can play it on a CRT. And then I saw what Sonic's little anime cutscene looks like in the CD version, and I was like, ugh. And I didn't get it. Mostly because the Sega CD is like at least $100 by itself. It's like more expensive than the Genesis was. I paid like $80 for the Genesis, and I got like a dozen games with it, including Sonic. It's just
yeah, because
crazy.
the Genesis was really common. The Sega CD was a failure.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I'd love to have all those attachments. I want to have like what the AVGN said about it being on life support. We have like 15 cables hooked up to it, have the 32X on top, have the CD on the side. Everything has its own giant brick-shaped power cord. You can't fit all three of them in one power strip.
I knew you were just trying to become Blaine. I'm kidding.
I'm trying to light my house on fire with the Sega hardware. That's the plan. Okay.
Yeah.
Kino, what is your who's your advocate for president of video games?
Okay, so I know we were talking about how like the hardware of the PlayStation is kind of bunk poo poo, but I still want to vouch for its library, because I think the library absolutely fucks.
Yes.
Because of course you've got your Final Fantasy VIIs and your Chrono Triggers on there, because it's also on there.
Oh, that's like the worst version of Chrono Trigger, though.
Yeah.
It's like the stinky one.
Very true. But we mentioned Mega Man for the SNES, and Mega Man X is like one of my favorite games like of all time.
Mm-hmm.
But I know we both talked about this. The X2 and X3 kind of but then you get Mega Man X4, because like Capcom pretty much kind of said like fuck Nintendo. They went over to PlayStation because PlayStation was pretty much able to be a much meatier one, and PlayStation got X4 and X5. X5's pretty alright. It's got Alia yapping up your ass. But X4 is fucking epic because you get to play as Zero. He's the best character in all of gaming. He's fucking awesome.
Yes.
But then like there's also plenty of franchises. Like I was looking through as I've been like sailing the seven seas this past month, and just getting anything I could get my hands on. And I'm like, holy shit. Like we talk about like how Nintendo has a lot of, first party iconic, IPs, but like PlayStation has like a lot started on the PlayStation. You've got Crash Bandicoot,
yes.
You've got Tekken, you have, why are they all escaping me now? This is not good.
Resident Evil got its start on the PS1, and I love Resident Evil. Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah, Resident Evil got on there. Yeah, Metal Gear. Well, technically we could say that started on the NES, but Metal Gear, the actual Metal Gear Solid, Yapatron 9000,
the real one,
directed by Hideo Kojima, 50-minute cutscenes. That all started on the PlayStation, and it just so much cool stuff. And then there's so much cool stuff like, I'm going to use the bad word emulation, but so much cool stuff has like made it overseas. Okay, one of them actually is actually one that wasn't one that failed to make it from Japan, but is one of my favorite ones that I've been playing recently was this Ghost in the Shell game. Ooh. Which it's like an arcade style third person shooter where you're just playing as a Tachikoma. It's not terribly long, but it's got some good difficulty to it, and you're able. What's really cool is that this is like definitely a game where I knew that they saw this and they saw the 3D capabilities, and they were like, yes, we got to make this because you can crawl on the walls, you can like slide around and drift and shit and blow stuff up, and it's so fucking fun. It's a great game. If there's like any recommendation from this, say check that game out, and then check out Planet Laika. That's a game that I've been playing. It's a very there's like nothing else like it. It's very weird. You play as a bunch of dog people who are actually just straight up humans, and I don't know. You get on Mars, and a bunch of weird shenanigans happens. You just try it. It's got an English. It got English. It got like an English patch, and then I'm pretty sure that the spiritual successor to that, what was it called? Kowloon's Gate, I believe. That is getting an English patch uh, coming, I think, the 9th this month. It's either June 9th or July 9th that we're getting that. And that was another cult classic on the PlayStation.
Did you
Which had
play
just
many 3D platformers like Spyro, Croc, or Ty, or any of those? Actually, Ty
I
was
didn't.
two. Never mind.
Yeah, I wasn't. I haven't gotten around to those just yet, but I
You
was
have to play
playing some
Spyro.
Crash Bandicoot. Yeah, Spyro's awesome,
Yes.
but yeah, I haven't gotten around to Spyro just yet. And that's what I'm saying. Like, there's so much, and like I know we always think of like Nintendo as the one that has all the first party shit. Xbox has like some of the cool military people like John Halo, John Gears of War, John probably another shooter game. They've got all the shooter big burly dudes, but
Yeah.
PlayStation has a lot of characters especially that started on the PlayStation 1, and then the PS2 went on with like Jack and Daxter and other shit. But PlayStation started with it has a lot, and sure, not all of these are doing the best today. Like Mega Man's dead. That's a dead franchise, which really fucking sucks. And speaking of Mega Man, got Mega Man Legends. The biggest upset in like all of gaming probably when it came to not getting its third installment. But then we've got Crash, we've got all these iconic characters that have games that just hold up very well. And they're really fucking fun to play. Like Crash Bandicoot, I was playing last night. I was just laughing my ass off because all the funny sounds and shit. It's such a funny, just like fun game. I fucking love it. I fucking love the PlayStation's library,
I think
and like how Corona was saying about like the SNES, is that yeah, if I had like a PlayStation that preferably wouldn't fuck up its own discs, and had like an alright load time, then that would be a pretty fun desert island console. It'd definitely be up there with maybe like a Cyberdeck that just has every Toho game on it for me.
we talk about PS1 games. I have to take the opportunity to gas up Ape Escape. Ape Escape is a really
Yes.
awesome 3D platformer on there, and also every horror game on the PS1. Like, if you want to get into
Yeah, Silent
horror
Hill
video
started there
games,
too.
there are so many like weird, trippy, psychedelic ass horror games on the PS1. They're not
Yeah.
all effectively scary, but like, I don't know. If you're interested in horror games, you have to try out Silent Hill 1 on the PS1 because it's crazy.
Yeah, there's
it's
you've
it's
got like
shocking
Silent
just
Hill.
how creepy it still is, even with its like, boomer graphics or whatever. Like, it's just really fucking ethereal and cool.
Yeah, I think also, now that I'm thinking about it, didn't didn't FromSoft did Kingsfield start on the PlayStation?
Yes, I played
I
the
feel like
first Kingsfield and it was garbage, but they
Yeah.
did
yeah,
start there, yeah.
yeah. And then we've got LSP
Tenchu.
Dream Emulator. That's another like
Yeah.
big cult classic. People love that, and it's really fun. And we've
Did you
also
mention
got
Tomb Raider? Because
like
that was one of the like
Yeah.
3 series I played on the PlayStation.
Tomb Raider's pretty sick.
yeah, Tomb Raider is pretty fucking epic. And then you've got like other like cult horror classics like Dark Tale of the Lost Soul, I believe it's called. And then
Parasite
there's
Eve,
like this,
Dino Crisis.
yeah, yeah. Like there's so much on this game, and like I said, like the PlayStation, I feel just really, it's got a vibe to it. Like there's
Yeah.
lots of different vibes, but when you think especially about like the weird stuff like coming out of Japan, it's got a vibe to it, and there's so much of it. You can just like sit there and just soak in it. And I feel like I get a lot of games and they sometimes take a while to like pull me in and I'll forget about them. But like during this time that I've just been trying to soak up whatever thing that I can find for this console, everything is just like holy shit, I'm just having the time of my life. The vibe rules, the game's fun to play, and I just want to like play it all day.
So I
It's
want
got
to
so
gush a
much.
little bit about Police Knots, which didn't start on the PlayStation. It was originally on the PC-98, but it's where I first played Police Knots was the PlayStation on an emulator, obviously, because it was never released in North America. But that and Snatcher both were Hideo Kojima games, and it also was the place where I first
Ooh.
heard about O'Neill cylinders, which I am currently obsessed with, because it takes place on an
Ooh.
O'Neill cylinder. But another one I want to kind of gush over is a game from my childhood, Frogger 2, Swampy's Revenge, which was a really great game. A lot of people... I haven't played the first Frogger on the PlayStation, but a lot of people will say that it's bad, and I can see why looking at like gameplay footage of it. But
Hang on, I gotta look this up
Yeah.
because that rings such a bell, and I think it might have been like one of my favorite PlayStation
yeah.
games. But it like got wiped from my memory. You just like reactivated a thought in my
Nice.
head. I have to look
But
this up.
Frogger 2 is like it's like what
It's awesome.
3D Frogger should be, and I think there's something to be said about that. You know, one more thing before I go. My dad had a game called Black Dawn on the PlayStation, and the intro was published by Virgin Games, and that intro like scared the shit out of me when I was a kid. If you ever get a chance, look that logo up. Look up a long play of Black Dawn, and you'll see it. It's oh my god, it was terrifying. Okay, I'm done. Oh wait, one more thing. To undermine Kino's point,
I have
Road Rash on the PlayStation sucked in comparison to the 3DO version. Take that.
okay.
Okay, but we've got Ridge Racer though, and
I
Ridge
have-
Racer has like one of the coolest soundtracks ever. So does the Ghost in the Shell game, by the way. It's got a sick ass techno soundtrack. Forgot to mention that.
I have one question for Kino. Since you picked the PlayStation 1, do you think the PlayStation 2 was just riding on the coattails of the PlayStation 1?
Well, as I'm like looking, like whenever I've been like looking at the library, as much as of like a PlayStation 2 like fanboy, because like that's like my first console like I really did have. I kind of want to say it did just because the PS2, sure, it has like, you know, the biggest fucking library known to fucking man. It's like the Library of Alexandria for consoles. You know, it's got like 10,000 games or whatever. Half of that is like third-party shovelware, and there is a lot of good third-party stuff. But yeah, in terms of like whenever I especially think of like all the weird cult stuff and even just a lot of like really good shit, I feel like it is kind of all on the PlayStation. Like obviously the PS2 has some gems. Like it's got Berserk PS2 and it's got plenty of sequels to franchises that started on the PS1. But I do think that the PlayStation 2 kind of did ride on the coattails of that just a bit, though. Also, it being a DVD player does help a lot too.
Yeah, I was say that was what really that was the biggest part of it. Probably was it being a DVD player that was affordable at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean when I think of like, I think the PS1 and the PS2 are both completely acceptable answers for like being your favorite console. Because I think the PS2 is the one that a lot of people kind of gas up as like, oh, the PS2 is the best of all time. And like my partner Josh, that's like his favorite. I asked him like, Josh, what do you think's the best console ever? He said PS2, and I'm like, it's kind of weird because I know there's a ton of really cool games on the PS2, but a lot of them are ones I think of as like, these are kind of like the weird middle child of their respective series. A lot of the time, it's like this is when games were transitioning away from being all the adorable, fun, colorful platformers I loved and into being the more edgy, like Jak and Daxter's the perfect example. Jak and Daxter encapsulates that perfectly because Jak 1, kiddie platformer, Jak 2, guns, Jak 3, more guns and cars. It's like
and then
explosions.
Like Ratchet and Clank. I think Ratchet and Clank started on the PS2.
Yeah.
And then you've also got Like I said, then you've got like I said, then you have franchises. I think Ridge Racer continued on to the PS2. I can't remember, but then like Gran Turismo, got
Yeah.
got better and better
I
on
could
the
definitely
PS2.
see PlayStation 2 and Xbox sort of being where it was suddenly like gamers serious, and then like Nintendo's
Yeah.
off over there making the Wii, which is like the most normie kiddie like grandma like console of all time.
Nintendo's
And then like
GameCube flopped so fucking hard that they gave up on the tech arms race and decided they would just
they
cater to
did.
babies and grandmas. It was just the untapped
Yeah.
market of babies and grandmas.
Hmm.
And that financially speaking, they won that generation. They made like
Sure
dozens
did.
and dozens of times more money than PlayStation 3, Xbox 360. They moved way more units, but then that bit them in the ass with the Wii U. They found out that babies and
Yeah.
grandmas are not recurring customers.
Well, because now they're
Yeah.
playing on their phones and their iPads.
Yeah.
For sure.
Very funny.
Yeah, the PS2's library. I I still want to definitely delve more into the PS2's like
Yeah.
library as I'm doing my little emulation adventures. But yeah, I really am thinking about it. That I don't know. There's just a lot more that like there are gems. There are plenty of gems. Like you have a library of 10K games. There's plenty of gems to like go through. But the PlayStation just feels like there's just there's such a concentration of them, and it's not just also that they're hidden gems. It's like, wow, these games are just really fucking awesome. These are games that I feel like people need to play. Like I feel like people need to play Planet Laika or like check out that Ghost in the Shell game, or even like the Lane game. That you know, the bunch of cool, interesting shit that, and the PlayStation felt like it felt like developers saw this console and really treated it as a playground for all types of different ideas that you know the and it feels like the PS2 was kind of starting to that was where we were starting to trend towards that era of like games kind of getting a bit more standardized in what they
Yeah.
do. But like I said, there's like it's got the middle child effect because you've got games like Persona 3 where Persona 3 is fucking cool and all, but it's when you play Persona 5, you're like, okay, that game's half baked, but it's definitely, more Persona than like Persona 2 and 1 are, even though those games are kind of cool in their own right. But it's got that middle child syndrome, even if the story's really cool.
Yeah. When I think of like PS1, as far as like RPGs go, I always think of Dragon Quest because that's where my brain goes because I love Dragon
Yeah,
Quest.
Dragon Quest.
PS1 has Dragon Quest 7, which is quite possibly the slowest RPG ever fucking made. It makes me want to kill myself. Uh, and that is why I think the PS2 is better. The PS2 is better than PS1. PS1's too slow because of Dragon Quest 7. There's a
Very
load
true.
screen every
Yeah.
single time. It's like random encounters, and every encounter begins and ends with a load screen. I just want to hang myself by the end of the game. It's like also the game is like 130 hours long, and that's if you're not doing side quests. So it's pretty bad.
I always do the side quests.
Yeah, the PS2 did have the hardware edge with pretty much, it's pretty much able to play any PS1 game ever.
Yeah.
So that was a good thing about the PS2 was that
Yeah.
you had a way free, emulation boom that you were like, okay, I can play my PS1 games. I don't have to throw all these awesome cool shits away. If you had a cool gangster collection like that, you could
Yeah.
still play them. And they play
Remember-
better than the PlayStation 1, which is cool.
Remember when we had backwards compatibility?
Yes, you remember the time.
I don't know what you're talking about, dude. I can play all my PS4 games on my PS5. My PS5 is the best console ever made. It can play Sonic Racing Cross Worlds, and it can play Fortnite.
Yeah, I
Okay.
can play Fortnite.
I have one really funny anecdote about the PS1 again.
Okay.
My dad used to bring us games, and one time he brought us a pirated copy of Crash Team Racing or whatever, and it only booted like 13% of the time, but
God.
and it would have like a bunch of random glitches. But I was so enamored with that game that I kept trying to play it.
You should
Jesus,
come to
just
the
trying
PlayStation
over.
cast.
That's me with like all my fucking old crusty Game Boy games. When like the pins are starting to get all rusted, and I'm like, no, I know this game will work. I know it will if I just put it in and out of the Game
When
Boy
I-
6 more
so-
times.
Uh,
And it does, 'cause I'm
do
a
we have to
genius.
move on, or can I?
All right.
Okay.
Abby. I think we should get
Wait,
that.
we have time. Time limit. Time limit. Z Cipher, get to your
Yeah, it's
console.
becoming the PlayStation Cast.
Okay.
This is
Before or
evil.
after
Yeah, Z
this? It's
Yeah.
up to
and
you.
Abby.
It's up to you.
We gotta do that.
I think I'll go before. Unless you're doing a handheld.
No, it's okay.
I forgot.
Okay. So, sort of segueing from the PlayStation, I was always more of a Nintendo boy. I was not a Sony pony, and I never had an Xbox. My sister got an Xbox off like Craigslist at some point, and I played GTA, and then then inappropriate stuff started happening, and my niece was in the room, and my sister was like, "Okay, we're turning this off, and we're not playing this in front of my baby." And so that ended my experience with the Xbox 360. So I mean, I grew up very poor. I didn't have very many consoles. So the consoles I did have access to were pretty much, I had every Nintendo. Like, I had the NES, I had the SNES, I had the 64, I had the GameCube. But I didn't really have many games for those. What I ended up getting really into was the Game Boy, and then I didn't have the Game Boy Advance because my mom decided we're not buying you games anymore. So I had to skip the Game Boy Advance and go to the DS. And at first, like, I loved the DS. The DS could even play like the Game Boy Advance games I had. And what was great about the DS was, like, it had, like, you know, you could play the DS games, but you could also play the Game Boy games. And ironically, the best DS, I would say, was the DSi, but then they removed the GBA port, so a lot of people hated on it, even though I still think it's the best version of the original DS.
It's awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
And then the 3DS was, like, my favorite for such a long time, because, like, I would play my DS games on the 3DS. I would play everything on my 3DS. I had all my baby games. I had Animal Crossing. I have every single Pokemon. But at some point, you know, I kept making jokes about how, like, you know, the Vita, it's just like, it's so crapped on, just like the Wii U. It sold terribly. Mm-hmm. And it just felt like it was inferior to the DS in every way. So I was like, you know, I already have all the three. I have the DS and the 3DS. Like, why would I want a Vita? A Vita is just worse in every single way. But then, I think in 2018, Sony announced that they were discontinuing support for the Vita, which meant that the online store was going to go down, and you weren't going to be able to access that anymore within a couple of years. And when this happened, the like stock, like it wasn't moving, but it like plummeted in that, like, all of a sudden all the games for the Vita were like $5 to $20, and I just started buying them up like crazy. And I learned that unlike the early DSs, like, I don't know when they made it so the DS wasn't region locked, but I know I could, like, earlier DSs were region locked, which was really annoying to me, because then it meant, like, I can't just, like, buy a Japanese Pokemon game and play it on this DS. Like, I have to buy a Japanese DS. So when I found out the Vita wasn't region locked, I was like, cool, because Sony was terrible at marketing the Vita.
Yeah.
They only, because they had built this identity of, like, oh, we're for serious gamers, just like the Xbox, they only released a black Vita for both the first version of the Vita, which was like the thicker one with the OLED screen, and the thinner version, which is what I have, the 2000. They were only available in black in the US, which is fucking bullshit, because they had so many fun colors and so many, like, unique designs in the Japanese versions. And I think if they had, like, released those in the US, they might have actually been able to compete with the DS more, because the DS was releasing all these, like, cool colors and, like, these cool designs, like the Zelda ones and the Pokemon ones. And it's like, people just eat that shit up. Like, they want something that looks cool when they're holding it, especially if you're going to be holding it wherever you go, especially on a bus or a train. And so when I bought this thing, it was, like, to make fun of it. But, like, you know, once I owned it, I actually, like, fell in love, because I think the build quality of the Vita is a lot better than the DS. Like, the buttons are more clicky, the D-pad is, like, stronger, and it's just, like, everything about it just feels so satisfying to use, and it's, like, the perfect shape. I could play this for hours, whereas, like, with my DS, it's, like, it's an awkward shape, and every freaking new DS they move where the stylus is, and it's really annoying. Sometimes the stylus just falls
Yeah,
out.
it
It's
did.
fucking garbage. And again, the build quality's all over the place. Like, the screens don't even have,
Yeah.
like, consistent quality. Whereas,
Yeah.
like, okay, I have to say it because, like, I was never, like, I was not super active in the Vita community or anything, but, like, I remember when the Switch OLED came out, Vita Island must have sank because, like, they kept saying, like, oh, well, the Switch doesn't have an OLED screen. And then the Switch OLED came out. I think it was all over.
Yo.
And I kind of argue from a point where it's like, I bought a Vita at the perfect time, and I still prefer it to the Switch in many ways just because of form factor. It's not the games, it's nothing else. It's just like, it has the most satisfying form factor. Like, people tell me you can just emulate
It
a phone,
does.
you can just... No, I'd rather use the Vita. The Vita is so nice.
Yep.
And one of the things I like about it compared to like the DS is like they both had gimmicks. So the DS has like the two screens and the touchscreen. The Vita had a back touchscreen, which I don't know what they were
Yeah.
thinking with that. I think they should have just kept it like the PSP, just keep it simple. And luckily they had, like, the PSP had the problem with the UMDs. Like, I don't know how, if people's UMDs get scratched or whatever. I don't like the idea of like moving around with the CD. That makes me nervous.
Yeah.
I guess it'd be like a CD player, but I don't know.
I always wondered how
Um,
those worked.
Maybe one day I'll get a PSP, but I started to understand like why people would prefer the Sony handheld over, you know, I had always grown up with the Nintendo handhelds, and it's like, I hate to be like, oh, it has better graphics, but it does have better graphics, even though it's like, its specs aren't even that much better, but everything just looks better on the Vita. It's just like, it looks newer, it doesn't look as like crunchy, which is like a positive and a negative, but just like the DS, it also has a good variety of like 2D and 3D games, and it's really great that they can run on the system, even though it's like so simple. And that brings me to the other point where I think it's like one of the best consoles, especially handheld. Its battery life is freaking phenomenal. Like, I have so many times like picked up my Vita, started playing a game, put it to sleep mode, put it aside for over a month, and then
Yes,
I was like,
like
oh
its
yeah, I want to
battery
play
life
that
is
game
insane.
again. I grab my Vita and I turn it on, and it still has like 50% of its battery left, and it's still like running the game. And I'm just like, how is this possible? Like, my Switch has like a 3-hour battery life. It's garbage. Like, and if I put it to sleep, the Switch Lite, I think, is a failure. I hate the Switch Lite. I bought it because I wanted it to replace my Vita, because a lot of the games, like, again, like, the reason I say like the Vita, its library is not that good. Like, it's every game that was on the Vita has been ported to another system. The only reason I go to the Vita to play those games is because the Vita's form factor is my favorite form factor I've ever experienced for a handheld.
Yeah.
And when I bought the Switch Lite, it was to replace my Vita, but I did not get rid of my Vita. I'm glad, because the Switch Lite kind of sucks. It still has like the crappy battery of like the first generation of Switches, and you know, when I like had a decent time with it, but over time I was just like, you know, the load times kind of like, I was playing Spyro, and like it actually had like the problem where it's like the Switch is so much weaker than other consoles and computers that like I played the Spyro trilogy, and every time I was like in a load screen, it would take like several minutes, and I would get like frame drops, and it's like, that's frustrating when you're playing like modern games on a modern console.
Yeah.
But when you go back to the handheld games were designed to run on those handhelds, and so they were a lot lower in scope. And it's sort of like a place where you could experience what we like about like old games, where they have like limited scope, and it feels like they can get out quicker, they're cheaper, and you know, but it feels like a complete experience because it's designed with the console in mind.
Yeah.
Yes, I played the shit out of my Vita. I like, to the point that I believe what happened to it was that the glue that was like holding the spring for the right trigger button melted,
Oh
and
god.
it pretty much just completely, my console's bricked. It and
Yeah.
the memory card's corrupted. It's all fucked. But I
Jesus.
remember I never got like a lot of games for it because I was always afraid to like ask my parents for all the weird shit that I wanted. But I was like an absolute demon on Call of Duty Black Ops Declassified, and I played the shit out of Minecraft and like Blaze Blue and PlayStation All Stars, and then you it just straight up just had a browser that was able to download shit.
Yeah,
I was
that's
downloading so many fucking songs. It was awesome.
a little. I'm not saying that, but that is like the easiest way to hack a Vita. Is like if you could still access the browser.
Yeah.
And it's really funny because they were constantly shooting themselves in the foot because they were like, oh, the PSP is so easy to hack. We have to have these proprietary memory cards, and it would be like
Yeah.
I don't know, I don't remember the prices, but it was so overpriced, and like the highest one they had was like 64
Yeah, the memory cards suck dick.
gigs.
Oh my god, because yeah, those memory cards are like I'm pretty sure they're like what, like the 100 something, like yeah, like the high, like what, like the high level one.
And
It was
proprietary.
like 64 gigabytes or something.
It was
like
64.
$100.
Yeah, and it was like 100
It was
bucks.
$100. It was ridiculous.
It cost like half the price. Yep, half the price of the
And
console.
again, they would like corrupt easily because like mine and my 3DS, like it's not even actually my 3DS SD card. It's the SD card that I had back when I had my DSi that I've just had forever. I can put that thing in, and anything that's on it loads perfectly. That fucking Vita memory card is toast. It's completely corrupted, and it's just done.
It's funny. I ran out of rooms to download games on my 3DS, so I stole the SD card from my camera and just chucked it in my 3DS.
I did the same
That's
thing.
fucking sick.
I did the exact same fucking thing. Yeah, it really sucks. Like hearing about how good the Vita is makes me miss handhelds so bad. We just don't have them anymore. Like we have fake
It's-
We
handhelds.
don't.
We
It's
have the
phone games.
have massive fucking 50-pound Steam Decks and Nintendo Switch 2s, giant bricks, and like the Switch is like the least ergonomic handheld Nintendo has ever fucking made. It is so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I hate it.
And the Switch 2
It's like-
is even
Hates human
heavier.
hands.
I love it and I hate
Hurts.
it because I get the point of the Switch. It's like once I switched from the Switch Lite to the OLED, I mostly just played it on my TV and had a great time with that. Going from my
Yeah.
TV, taking it out whenever I wanted to be on the couch a bit more comfortable, and then putting it back in the TV. It's actually awesome for that. But like as a handheld, I much preferred the Vita because in my life I travel a lot. Like, I travel to conventions, I travel to visit family. Like none of my family lives in the same state as me. When I was moving, the Vita was always there because again, the battery, I don't have to worry about charging it on a plane because the battery just lasts the whole plane ride, and the games are like really light.
Yeah.
A lot of the games I play
Yeah.
are just visual novels, and it's different for me. It's like different from playing it on a phone because like the console is only for playing games. I don't have like notifications from Discord. I don't have notifications from text messages. I just get to focus on playing games on this console.
True.
It fits perfect. It fits in my pocket, and it's like, and it even has like one of the, advancements I think it really has over the DS is that it has 2 analog sticks, and they're not like great analog sticks, but I can play like 3D games that have like shooting and action and jumping, and like you can move the camera, and it's like, we didn't really have that on the Nintendo side until the Switch came out, and the Switch just like copied so much of the Vita's homework. It felt like
Yeah.
down to like
It
the
really
fact
did.
that Vita is very indie friendly. So many indie games reported the Vita because they made it so easy. And it's like a really simple console. So there was like Shovel Knight, there was Shantae. I
Nice.
literally have a
Yeah.
box copy of Shantae that I got for $20 sealed in plastic because GameStop was just basically like giving away their Vita games. They were trying to get rid of them. And so I was able to buy Disgaea. I was able to buy
It really is like
Steins
the
Gate.
Wii U. It really
Yeah.
is just like the
It
Wii U
is.
is surviving on indie games and things going on discount all the time.
Well,
And
it actually
that made
did
it-
have Persona 4 Golden. It did have like a
Yes.
few heavy
That
hitters.
that
It
was
had
the
some
one
cool shit.
game. They killed it. I believe in 2020 when they ported Persona 4 Golden to Steam.
Yeah.
Because Atlas
That's what
found
officially
out how
killed
to
it.
make money after all these years. They were like, "Oh my god, we can just print money off PC gamers," because they didn't realize this sooner.
Yep.
So the only reason people wanted a Vita was to play Persona 4 Golden legally, but it and that's the other thing. I consider like a VN machine. I consider it an RPG machine. It's fucking amazing for that. I hate playing RPGs on my computer or on my TV. I want to play them in bed. I want to
Yes.
grind until I fall asleep.
Yes.
And that was the thing. It's like when I had the DS family, it was just to play Pokemon because my mom would only buy me
Yeah.
like 2 games a year, so I'd always ask for Pokemon. I had to buy Ace Attorney by myself, but there was just like so few things I was like willing to try. There's a lot of shovelware on the DS. I found a lot less shovelware on the Vita personally, where I was just like I was always introduced to like new indie games or new like games where or like they had like PS1 classics available. So I have like most of the Final Fantasy games from like
Ooh.
4, 5, 6. 6 runs like shit because it runs like it would run on a PlayStation 1. So the load times are unbearable. So I didn't buy Chrono Trigger when I saw the 6 ran like shit. But like 7 runs good, 8 runs good, and then they also have the remaster of 10, I think, and 10 too. And it's like I didn't have consoles, so like now I get to experience like the PlayStation side of consoles that I sort of missed out on, but on like a tiny portable machine that I can play during a road trip where I don't need access to internet. I don't need to deal with any bullshit. I can just play my Vita.
The more
Yeah,
you
the
talk
Vita
about it,
is
the
so
more it
awesome.
sounds like a portable version of the Wii U, which sounds really sick.
Except it's cooler because like that's the thing. So the Vita, it was also a camera that also could
Yes.
record videos. It was
Nice.
also able to you're able to get music. You're able to just browse like it had a real web browser, not like the DS's
Yeah,
shitty thing that looked
Yeah.
like some
like
fucking
it had the
tech
gates.
shit.
Like the
Yeah,
3DS
you
had
could,
like
like,
gates around it,
watch
but like the
YouTube.
Vita did not. The Vita you
Yeah.
could just access a browser.
Yeah.
And it
like,
also
it
had
was
its
so
own
cool.
version of Street Pass, interestingly enough, because again they were trying to
Yeah,
compete with the
it did.
3DS. And the other thing that's really missing from the Switch, that the Switch needs to like get their shit on, is the 3DS and the Vita have themes. I bought this theme on the PS Store,
Yes, the
and it
themes
looks
were
fucking
so
beautiful,
sick. The
and it has
music
music.
is so cool. The music is so fucking awesome on the Vita themes. I remember like I'd always change it. Like sure you could put your own wallpapers, but like the themes were actually just really fucking cool, and they all had like their own system music,
Yeah.
and it's so sick. It's such a cool like. Not even just like a console, it's just a very cool gadget to just have
Yes.
around because
Yeah.
all it could do. Like I was like almost, but you couldn't catch me like at all without the Vita. I always had that
Yes.
thing on me.
When
It was
I first
so
started
awesome.
collecting for the Vita, like I got compliments from my friend. Like at first they also did the thing like, haha, it's so funny that you have a Vita. I was like, yeah, it's so funny. And then after a while they're like, it's really cool because like I can't take
Yes.
like we're eating at Denny's after getting drunk last night or IHOP, and I was just playing my Vita, and they're like, that's cool because I would not bring my Switch in public, where it could get like spilled on
Yeah.
or stolen, but like
Yeah.
I just shove the Vita in my
Yeah.
pocket and I have like a strap so that
Yeah.
like I don't drop it.
That's what handhelds
That's
are
awesome.
for. That's what they were made for in the first place. The whole
Yeah.
point was to have a game in your pocket. You could take it with you on a road trip or to the gas station
And-
or on your vacation, whatever.
And the battery too, because like
Yeah.
the Switch and the Steam Deck, they're cool. Their battery lasts like as long as the blink of an eye. Meanwhile, like the Vita and the DS, they say that they have
Lasts
a
for
battery
weeks.
life of 4 hours. You can turn that thing off and like wait 2 centuries. You could throw it at the bottom of the Mariana Trench, fish the bitch out, just blow on a little bit, maybe take a little toothbrush, except for like my Vita, because obviously
Yeah.
it was just wear and tear central. But you like maybe even throw it in some water, maybe you accidentally flushed it down the toilet, you fished it out of the fucking pipe, and you found it after like 2 years. Turn that thing on, oh yeah, it's got a full battery, it's completely fine. Also, the battery is it's just
Yeah.
just so robust, and yeah, PlayStation they just really kind of shot it in the foot for no reason in particular, because it was way stronger than the DS. It was just
And again,
it
another
was awesome.
place where the Switch copied its homework is that if you wanted to play Persona 4
So-
Golden on your TV, there was this thing called the PS TV, which
Yes,
played
the whole
Vita
shit.
games and like put them on your TV.
Mhm.
So
That
one
is
thing
one
I
of
don't
my
These things were
favorite
so-
Yeah, the
know,
console wasn't
Z, you
fucking
probably
around.
won't be able to
They
answer
sold
this,
like crap, and
but,
so you could get one for like
many
20 bucks.
years
I kind of
ago,
regret not getting one.
I
but-
was watching a review of the PSP on YouTube, and the reviewer said that the that the analog stick wasn't an analog stick; it was a thumbtack pretending to be an analog stick. So you said the thumbsticks weren't very good on the Vita. I'm kind of wondering if they were an improvement over the PSP's thumbstick.
I believe they are, but they kind of have a problem. Like, interesting, mine started to drift, and I think it's because I had them in a dusty closet, because they don't drift anymore. Like, I've just, from playing it again, they don't drift anymore, but drift can be an issue because they're, like, the contacts aren't, like, amazing, and, like, dust can get in there, but it's also decently easy to take it apart and just, like, clean it, and also, like, replace parts of it. Like, there's still people that are, like, really dedicated to the Vita, because, like, I don't know what it is, because it's, like, it shouldn't feel like it's better than the Switch, because the Switch is newer, it has more games, it has more access to stuff, but, like, I still... Like, I have not really touched my Switch in a while. I'm going back to my Vita. I'm just like, oh my god, I love holding this thing. I love playing games on this. It's how I played all of Danganronpa, and I kind of want to segue real quick into the interesting thing about the gimmicks, where, like, when it first came out, like, people didn't really use all the gimmicks, and then the game's, like, in the middle of its life cycle started using, like, the back touchscreen, and those I hate any game that uses the back touchscreen. I hate it because Danganronpa 1 didn't really use the back touchscreen. Danganronpa 2 did, and it was, like, super annoying because you're, like, trying to hit the back, and it's really awkward, and you're just
relatable
like
experience.
This. And god damn it, and then, like, Danganronpa 3, like, completely doesn't have any of the gimmicks of, like, the back touchscreen. So I don't know what happened in development there. People are just like, nah, I don't care. One of the best games I consider a Vita exclusive, even though it was ported to the PlayStation, is called Gravity Rush, and it is one of the most criminally underplayed games ever. But unfortunately, one of the reasons I got really annoyed playing it is that you do, like, a gravity slide by, like, holding the back touchscreen, and I'm like, I can't fucking do it. My hands are not cooperating.
Yeah, Gravity Rush fucks. Gravity Rush is so fucking awesome. But yeah, the PlayStation 4 port is better.
You're, like,
I need a PC
Vita
port
does get credit for having it.
I kind of want one after
Vita.
hearing you talk about it so much, because so much of my experience with handhelds lately has been, well, I love my Game Boy, but I have to have, like, a little sack with all the cartridges in it, which is annoying. Or I want to bring my Switch, but the Switch battery,
it's too big.
It lasts long enough for, like, a plane ride. So if you have a connecting flight, you're going to spend those 40 minutes in the terminal charging the Switch for the next plane ride.
Like, you've made it my goal to get a JP Vita this summer. I need to get one. I need it again. Oh my god. I'm, like,
there's so
trying
many
not
colors.
to cry from all the memories of the Vita.
The form
I
factor
fucking
being
love this thing.
Biggest deal to me, because every fucking time I take the Switch out of the house with me, it feels like I'm tolerating it. Like, playing it on the TV with a real controller is fine, but when I have to hold the actual Switch, it's like there's like not
blocky.
even a D-pad.
Like,
there's not even a
the
D-pad.
Nintendo squares are, like, made to
honestly,
give you carpal tunnel.
Pain.
I actually
so
kind of
weird.
loved using the Switch, like, portably.
If
I played a ton of Paladins on it, which is like Overwatch. I played a lot of Fortnite on it, and honestly, I was pretty good at Fortnite on the Switch.
I will say, I had to tolerate. I beat the entire Spyro trilogy at, like, 120% hit, 108% hit, 117%, whatever the weird percents. Like, I beat all of Spyro, did all the collections on the Switch Lite. My analog stick was starting to make a clicking noise because I had played too much Spyro. Thankfully, the clicking noise has gone away because I'm not playing Spyro anymore, but I was pretty sure I was going to break.
That's fucking sick.
I had pretty bad like Switch drift, so I eventually got a Pro controller and would just, like, I would bring the block of the Switch around, and then I would, like, prop it up on something and play with the Pro controller, even, like, when I'm going out and about.
That's why my argument is that the OLED Switch is actually better than the Switch 2 because it has the best kickstand.
Yep. Its
Yeah,
kickstand is
right
even
about
better
that.
than the Switch 2,
It's
which
so
is crazy.
good.
The Switch 2's kickstand fucking almost cracked the first day I opened it up. It's like the hinges nearly broke.
I wish I had my Switch,
Yeah, the Switch 2
OLED
like a step
to show you guys, but it The kickstand literally is like this.
Yeah,
like it's an entire freaking thing, and it's solid. I've played that on the plane. I love it, and I'll just bring a controller and I'll throw the Joy-Cons away. I do not care. But I played so much Dauntless on my Switch that I understand. Like, you can get used to using the Switch, but it's just like, ugh.
Yeah. I was like, I like my Switch 2 a lot. It's pretty much what I wanted the first Switch to be. Like, it has bigger thumbsticks on the Joy-Cons. Like, I fucking hate Joy-Cons. The new Joy-Cons are a marginal improvement. You know, it's like the sticks are bigger. I can get a little more precise with them. And, like, you know, the games look better because they can actually run, and they're not trying to port PS5 games onto an old fucking Switch with, like, Wii hardware that looks like garbage. You know, it's just too much money. It's just too much. Why am I spending like $80 a fucking game to play Pokopia when you can just play fucking, I don't know. You get a PS Vita and like emulate Dragon Quest monsters. Who gives a fuck? You emulate
I think
everything.
There were Dragon Quest games. I wish I knew you back then, because my friend kept trying to convince me to Dragon Quest Builders or something. I don't know. Like, there are. Pretty sure there are Dragon Quest games on the Vita. And again, what is so cool about the Vita is that it had PS1 games that you could buy digitally, and it had PSP games. So it kind of expanded the library and had that backwards compatibility, even without like the piracy. But the piracy like really just opens up So there's a game called Unsighted that came out like way after the Vita was dead. And there was like people who ported it to the Vita just because they were like, you know, this is an indie game we really like. Let's just put it on the Vita. And like the people who made Unsighted were like, you know, retweeting that, and I was just like, shit, I have tried to play Unsighted on the Switch. Don't really love the feel of it. I might actually beat it if I have it on the Vita, because like the Vita is where I beat a lot of like long story games and long action games. Like Muramasa. It's still not available on anything besides the Wii and the Vita. Like, it still hasn't been ported to anything else because, I don't know, Vanillaware hates us.
Okay. I think it's time to ask Abby,
Is it my turn?
Yes, which console are you voting for president this year?
Yeah.
Okay, I was originally going to go in and talk about the 3DS, but honestly, I think after having like had the pre-discussion, I think I'm going to have to go with the Xbox 360.
Oh my god.
Ooh.
Which-
Oh my god.
You got Yakuma's back.
The console war
Okay.
begins.
So just for context, I had so many consoles. I had the SNES, I had the N64, I had a DS, then not a 3DS yet. I had a PS1, I had a Wii, I had an Xbox, I had an Xbox 360 and a PS2, and a Sega Genesis. I had like so many things, and like a little shitty laptop. Eventually I got a 3DS as well. And I think the console that like I think provided like the most like enrichment to my gaming like culture, I guess, is probably the Xbox 360. And I think that has to do a lot with the arcade, like the marketplace.
This summer arcade sales are crazy.
Like what Vincent was saying about Z-Cypher was saying about the Vita having like the indie game access. I think the Xbox 360 was also big for that. It did have like a lot of shovelware, like garbage, but like to me, that's kind of the price you pay for also having like a lot of innovation and like a lot of smaller creators like making cool games. I can remember 2 Minecraft clones that I played that I actually enjoyed a lot, despite them being 3.
God, that was the first time I played Minecraft. It was on an Xbox 360.
Yeah, and it had Minecraft
same.
too.
I'm like really nostalgic for when they updated it and finally added the Ender Dragon. That was
I
like
didn't have internet for so long, and like even with just the discs, like you had like you had Minecraft. You had like the orange box, which had TF2.
Oh yes.
I played that for a really long time before I ever got it on the computer. I loved playing TF2 on the Xbox. And Xbox Live was also a big part of why that like was such a good experience, because like even though you had to pay for it, it was like the most accessible online play thing I had experienced up to that point. It's where I made a lot of online friends for the first time, and like actually developed like a community of people I liked hanging out with.
Yeah.
The like when it comes to the indie games, there was a lot of like really cheap games or even really like free games that you could just download and play once I finally did have access to internet. And I messed around with so many like little cool games. I think Super Meat Boy was a huge one for me. It was like a really cool platformer. I know that's originally like a PC game, but like that's kind of the thing, is like it having the marketplace and like letting people submit games to it means you can play games that are on the PC first.
So, fun fact, Meat Boy was originally a Flash game posted to Newgrounds. And I remember playing that long before it, well, not that long before, but before it was even on consoles as Super Meat Boy, which was an entirely different game, by the way, but still, you know.
Yeah.
Super Meat Boy was a big deal. It was one of the first indie games that got me like, whoa, this is like a really good game.
Yeah.
The 360 was
like,
kind of
platformer.
novel because of all those online features too. That was like the first time I can remember like downloading a free demo of a game that had just come out and being like, whoa, like I can just try a game.
The communication was also really nice. Like you could like text people messages, and then you could also like enter a voice chat with them, or you could just send people voice messages. Like there's that one meme where this one guy is like he sends someone a voice message and it's like, you're never gonna get a girlfriend, so yeah, you're gay, and then he starts like playing a guitar riff in the voice message.
Or Denny
And
G
it's
from
just-
Smithwick.
I don't know what it's from, but just having those communication features was just so cool, because like I could hang out with my friends, like even though like we weren't living near each other. Like instead of walking all the way over to his house, I could just like play games with them on the Xbox, like online.
Yeah,
It's a proto Discord.
that's like, I think that was like the Xbox's big appeal when the original one came out, wasn't it? It was like you could just play Halo online with your friends. I remember seeing my older brother doing that and being kind of like, you know, like this is crazy. It's like, this game looks crazy. It looks like all realistic and like edgy. It's all outer space shit that I've never seen before. And he's talking to his friend Luke just on a little headset. Like, that's crazy. Stuff I didn't think was possible.
I always wanted to use that, but like we never had internet back when I had the Xbox original.
Hello.
It was with the Xbox 360 I finally got to use the online features.
Yeah.
It's funny because I also had a 360 growing up, and oh my god, Petra just
Really? Really, Petra?
You bastard.
I was hoping we were being done soon.
We're almost done.
No, you keep recording. It's fine. I set an alarm for like 4:30 or some shit. 4 hours later.
God damn it, Petra.
Hi.
Amazing.
I like the Nintendo GameCube.
Nintendo
Kick
shit.
Petra for having the wrong opinion. Alright.
One of the few consoles I did
Abby's
not own.
explaining her love for the Xbox, and you come in here at this crucial time. What the fuck?
Okay, Petra, do you
I
want to
was
start
thinking-
recording in Audacity and join in and sync up with us, or do you just want to sit out?
I did start recording,
Okay,
but it's okay.
everybody, just to make this easier on my editing, we're gonna do 1, 2, 3 fart again. Okay.
All right.
1, 2, 3
2,
fart.
3
Fart.
fart.
Okay, that should be fine enough. I can line it up with the OBS recording too. It's fine. But yeah, we were talking about, Abby brought up the Xbox 360, and it's funny. I was just gonna say, because I grew up with this thing too, and I have such a bone to pick with it. I have had like endless beef with my 360 because it got the red ring a couple times because it was the shitty old white one. I didn't have the cool black one that doesn't like crap out every 3 days. So
Have to say, I actually had an Xbox and an Xbox 360 both die, and we got new ones because I just enjoyed using them so much.
yeah, I mean that happened to my PS2 as well, and my
I might
Wii.
have had 2 Xbox 360s crap out like that.
Yeah.
Was there like
But
a policy for that? Was there like an
Yeah. we got a new one for free, I think, but it was still
That's
a pain in the
cool.
ass to like mail it in.
Yeah,
There
it was
a
like you would
class
go
action
online.
lawsuit for the Red Ring
Yeah.
of Death.
I was about to say, yeah.
Same
'cause
with the
I never
Joy-Cons,
just,
yeah.
I just never looked into it. But I
You'd have to
imagine
like
so, 'cause
the way it worked was you would call them or email them, and they would mail you a box, and then you put your Xbox in the cardboard box, mailed it back to them.
The Xbox
They would
box.
fix it, then send it back to you, and there was a 50% chance it would still be broken, and you have to do it all over again.
Yep.
It was ass, but I remember I was playing Lego Star Wars: The Complete Saga, and I was grinding to get 3 million studs so I could unlock Force Ghost Yoda. I wanted to play as Force Ghost Yoda, and I was doing the pod race level over and over and over again. And when I was this fucking close to having enough studs, my Xbox got the Red Ring of Death, and I wanted to kill myself. I had never even heard of the Red
that's
Ring
a
of Death
gamer
before.
moment.
I'm just like playing Lego Star Wars. I played for like 2 hours. I wasn't even playing it that long. The Xbox was like, you know what? I've had enough. You're pod racing. You're having fun and all. You almost got your fucking Force Ghost Yoda. Fuck you. I'm done.
damn,
Not doing the pod racing level again.
that's
Oh,
evil.
real
The
quick,
cry.
Petra, your GameCube take.
Oh,
Um,
oh.
Sorry, hang on. I was gonna say my username is Godly Vex. Is because there's this game called Vex on the Xbox original, and I really loved it. It was also on the GameCube, but I hold the opinion it was way better on the Xbox, and that's why the Xbox is better than the GameCube.
Nintendo shit cube. It's the Nintendo shit cube.
Before we move on to the Nintendo shit cube, I want to talk real quick about. So you brought up the communication features on the 360. So after the 360, I switched back to PlayStation for the PS4. But my stepbrother, he's stuck with with Xbox for the Xbox One. So he would show me all of the wacky shit going on with the Xbox from that point on, as far as like having terrible Kinect games and having voice commands. It was a regular
Kinect was
occurrence
bad.
to hear him saying like, Xbox, record that, while I was like in the same room as him, 5 feet away, and
IMO,
had, like, gamers
I never
side by
had the
side.
Xbox One.
yeah.
I think up until like Xbox 360, I do think I like way better than the PlayStations. But I think when you go from like that to the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One, I think PlayStation does beat out Xbox, even though I've never been a lover of the PlayStation really.
Yeah.
Xbox
So
fumbled
it's been at the
so
bottom
hard with
for
the
me.
one.
Yeah.
I was
So-
alive during those presentations. I was like, this isn't gonna convince me to buy a
So-
console. This is horrible. They had to walk back like everything they
So-
said.
Yeah.
So
was
yeah, I
embarrassing.
mean, the cracks really started to show early Xbox One era. Then they kind of had a little bit of a comeback with the Xbox One S and X, and then the pandemic happened, and they just kind of. I mean, this whole generation is kind of
Yeah.
fucked, but Xbox was even more fucked because they just. I don't know, man. They just
Yeah.
kind of. Bleh.
I mean,
Oh, I remember that.
I've-
It was like Xbox One, we were gonna put a big old lock on it, and you have to talk. You have to connect on the internet every single day.
and to
And
have the
if you
camera plugged in,
don't-
and have a camera plugged in with a
Yeah,
microphone too.
the Kinect.
Yeah,
Sorry,
and
go
you have to like do a digital shit scan every day to make sure that you have like the correct
Nintendo shit
like
scan.
fucking shit footprint to like play your video games or whatever. And then like I remember the PlayStation 4 response because
Yeah.
this is what convinced me. I was like, I'm never getting another Xbox
So-
again. At the time when I was like 14 or
So-
whatever. And so they were like, hey, you want to share used games? Because that was another thing on the Xbox
Yeah.
One where he was like, nope, no used games. It comes with a code, or like you gotta
Yeah.
like
You put the
DRM
disc
and
in your
connect to it.
console, it is coded to that
Nice.
console forever. Fuck you.
Yeah, that shit was
So it's like-
ridiculous. That's
Sharing
pure
games on
evil.
the PS4, and it was one guy handing the game to another
Yeah.
guy like on the stage. It's like,
Here you go, Gray.
So,
cool. Yeah.
so I,
Thanks.
do have a,
Thanks,
I
Jim.
do have a funny Connect story. This comes from fascist bigot Brian Lunduke before I knew he
just
was a
woke up.
fascist bigot. Basically, he had an Xbox One because him and his family were big gamers, and it was they had to get with Kinect because they got when it first came out. So they had it hooked up with Kinect. They were playing with it for a while, and one day, his bedroom was connected with his bathroom, so he forgot his clothes. So he went out naked to get his clothes, and he realized the Kinect was watching him, so he ran back into the bathroom like, oh, that was creepy. And so after that, you know, him and his wife were playing with the Kinect, and it wasn't recognizing him. So one day he forgot his clothes again, and so he went back out naked into his bedroom to get his clothes, and the Kinect was like, "Hi, Brian." So somewhere in Redmond, in Microsoft servers, there's biometric data of Brian Lundu naked.
Hell yeah.
Oh,
Blackmail.
The beautiful
Before I
thing
move-
about the Kinect is that you could send voice messages to people through Xbox Live. So not only did you have a little spy cam on you, you could use it to spy on other people. You know, you could. My stepbrother would play Call of Duty all the time on his Xbox, and he told me that there was this guy just like making loud, obnoxious noises every time he got killed in the game. So he told the guy, he just like put his mic on for half a second, said, "Shut up," and then turned it off again. And the guy sent him like a voice message that was like the maximum time allowed. It was like a 30-second voice message, and him just going like, "Why should I have to shut the fuck up, motherfucker? You're the one coming at me with your bitch ass, you little faggot ass voice, man. What? You have to reconsider your actions." Oh, thank you for the educated message.
Xbox voice messages are so fucking funny. I always love
Yeah.
the Danny G. He's like, "I'm Danny G for Smack. I'll fucking break your fucking legs. I'll fucking calm down here." And he's just like,
So-
it's fucking
It's like
hilarious.
I just love a 30-year-old man sending messages to a 12-year-old, being like, "Shut the fuck
this,
up, man."
this is for
Real quick about
anybody
the-
watching this video on their Xbox One with the Kinect attached. Xbox One, sign out!
No.
Xbox, record that.
No.
Abby was trying to
You
say
say,
something.
Oh.
say Xbox off.
Yeah. Xbox off.
Turns off their thing. Sorry, I was gonna say I think the Wii did motion controls like way
Yeah.
better than the
Yeah.
than the Xbox Connect. Xbox Connect.
It's
they
really
tried,
funny
it was
too,
so
because
bad.
You are
Microsoft
the
really didn't know
controller.
what they had, because a lot of animators were like, "Yeah, this is really cool. We can do like mocap on the cheap with this," and then they killed the Kinect, and it's like, damn, they would have had a really great VTubing machine if they had just stuck with that. Abby, no, Abby, speak to me.
It's okay. It's okay. I'm here. My Audacity is still fine. It was just I accidentally clicked something on Discord.
That's fine.
I will say I like the mocap better. I like on the Kinect. I like Just Dance. Just Dance was better. Sorry, I woke
Yeah,
up
that's true.
like literally 10 minutes ago. This feels like the worst hangover, or like I ran to class late.
Yeah.
But it's a nightmare, but it's real. It's
Okay.
real.
Yeah, to provide context for our audience, Petra was up late last night getting completely shit-faced and beating Dark Souls. She beat Dark Souls. That was
I
what
won.
happened.
Yeah, but also it's 8 p.m.
Yeah. About the Xbox,
Disaster.
one of my favorite things
I'm gonna
about it
break the Overton
was like
window.
all of like the voice trolling videos, and one aspect that was very neat about like the microphones is that like it made 30-year-olds all sound 15 and it made 15-year-olds all sound 30. Everyone had the same voice, and like there were only 3 voices somehow. You either sounded like a child, you either sounded like a tiny like infant, or you're going like or you sounded like the dude voice was like, "Hey man, shut the fuck up. You're playing with a fucking riot shield, you fucking faggot." Or it was like just girl voice. For whatever reason, the fucking like compression was just so bad that it made everyone sound the same, and you could never tell who the fuck was actually talking to you
Have the-
if they did like
The
aside from those
9-year-olds
3
who are going,
archetypes. It was fucking
You know,
hilarious.
You just flashbang me because growing up I was a girl gamer. Luckily I did not have an Xbox. I did play online MMOs though, so it was horrible being a 16-year-old girl and everyone being like, girl. But what's funny is my first experience with online gaming was not Xbox, because obviously I didn't have the Xbox. It was on the 3DS. I was trading with someone over the PSS, whatever the fuck they called it in Pokemon X and Y, and
Yeah,
it was like
PSS.
someone was calling me, and they were from Japan, and so I picked it up, and they were just like,
Oh.
hello? And I said,
Oh,
hello?
that's
And they're like,
cool.
oh my god. And they're speaking Japanese, and they're like, American. Hello? Hello? Hello?
That's cool.
And I was so freaked out
I
that
never
I
got to
hung
use
up.
that.
I was so freaked out by these two Japanese guys just
Aw.
like talking to me through my 3DS that I just like immediately was like, I'm never touching that again.
That's so fucking
awesome,
funny.
man.
Oh my god.
Oh,
Yeah,
show boobs,
I never got to
Destiny.
use that, sadly.
I really look back on that whole generation of consoles. Like the 360, PS3, and Wii was like kind of the dark age for me, just because that was when it really split. Like before that, like
I know,
Xbox,
fucking
GameCube,
sucked.
PlayStation 2. It was like each one had their pros and cons. You know, the GameCube flopped horribly, but like there were still cool games on it. And now, completely removed from cultural context, there's good reason to play with all three of them. Once you get to that next
Yeah.
generation, it's like from that point forward up till now, even currently, it feels like if you're going to be a console gamer, you just need the PlayStation if you want to play all the mainstream games that everybody plays, and if you like Nintendo games, you also need the Nintendo thing. I don't think there's a
Yeah.
good enough reason to get an Xbox, and I felt like there hasn't been since the 360.
Yeah.
And it's kind of sad, especially because, like I said before, I liked all the colorful Goo Goo Gaga baby games. I like my Kirby and my Sonic, and it feels like those kinds of games were out of style, like really hard during the
Yeah.
360's reign. It was like the 360 reigned supreme, and like everything else was like trend chasing. And even though the Wii had mostly stupid games with a few bangers here and there, it was like, because it sold so well, PlayStation and Xbox were like, oh, we're going to copy what the Wii does. We're going to do that, but bad. And
Yeah.
like, do
We
motion
do
controls. And
We
PlayStation moves suck
No.
dick.
and now everyone
God. And it
copies the
looks like a
Switch,
vibrator.
so you get the PlayStation Portal, which is like the Switch, but it has to have Wi-Fi to work, which sucks. And
what even is that? I've never heard of that.
it's like a PS5 controller with like a tablet between, like a
So
big ass.
Yeah,
thing.
it's just that weird thing.
It's you can stream your PS5 games to the Portal, is what it's for.
Can we talk about how the Switch has ruined handhelds
Yeah,
for
you
fucking
missed
ever?
it.
and
Yeah, we
how
did
bad
that
it
earlier.
is?
We did talk
We
about that.
did.
Petra,
We did.
Petra,
Hour
you
3.
missed.
I have some opinions from hour 1, guys.
Yeah, exactly. I already gave like my impassioned speech about how much I love the Vita and how I think it's
Yeah.
like the best handheld ever.
That
It was
convinced me to
really
get one.
good.
I want
'Cause
a
it is.
Vita
No,
now.
It's factual.
The Vita's fucking awesome. Get a Vita.
I
Okay.
think the Steam
Yeah.
Deck does the Switch better than the Switch by like a
does.
good
It
amount.
does.
It
so-
does.
It does by about
I
like a trillion.
I struggle to consider the Steam Deck an actual console though, because it's
Yeah,
a Steam
it's
Deck.
it's really just a P-
It's just
a
a
mobile
PC in the
basically.
form factor of a Switch but bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I
it
don't
is a cyber deck, pretty much.
We have
you
the
think
ROG
PC beats-
Ally or whatever from Xbox, and we have the PlayStation Portal. It's just like, guys, we made a Steam Deck 2. It's a big old iPad, but we stuck a little controller to the side.
Yes.
Fucking
It runs
they're
Linux.
dumb.
It runs Linux, so that it's a Linux-based platform.
I
The
love
SteamOS is
Proton. I
Linux-based.
love
yeah,
Y.
really.
Okay,
It's-
Proton
care.
actually is fucking fire,
Yeah.
and Wine is
It
fire.
is though.
Okay.
But
Well, like I
It-
think
it's
PC
epic.
being like one of the best consoles. I think
Yeah.
it's like
It's
not
the
a
console
console,
of all time.
but the Steam Deck makes a PC portable, which is like a niche that isn't
Yeah.
like filled by a lot of things.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then like people trying to copy the Steam Deck by like, okay, what if we did that, but it doesn't have the main selling feature of being a PC?
Yeah.
Like, what if we
Yeah.
just didn't do that?
you
What if
said
we made
make
it
a PC
worse?
portable. I'm
I
gonna blow your mind. There's something called a laptop
Yeah.
that's been around for the past 40
I dread the fact.
There's also cyber decks, which are really fucking cool looking.
I'm sorry.
Okay, I hate the Switch because I dread the fact that everything is just gonna be a Switch and Steam Deck clone now. Like I know that like
So-
Sony and Microsoft are
That
probably
era is
cooking one
already
up,
here.
and it's so annoying because I'm like I hate this shit. I want to go back to my rinky-dink little handhelds where they make
Yeah.
games that are specifically for that handheld. I don't want to play
Yes.
the PC game on the handheld. I want to play a handheld game designed for the handheld.
The Switch is the only one
Yeah.
that got it right because it's still kind of
So-
portable. And then the Switch 2 got really fucking big. And so now they're all the same.
Like all the games that would normally be on a handheld are now like everything is on the Switch, which is frustrating. Because I'm like, it's
Mhm.
cool. Like to me, it's like it's a console for games that I would normally play at home, but like I can leave the house with it. It's like a neat bonus, you know. It's not a dedicated handheld to me. I don't see it that way. I would desperately want them to make a pocket-sized device again, so I can
So-
have that dedicated portability, because they design games around it.
I made the joke that there should be
Yeah.
a Switch Micro, like how there was a Game
so
Boy.
there
Advance
are
Micro.
actually
Or was it Game Boy
handhelds
Micro?
being
Love
made,
that.
Yeah.
but they're just not consoles in the traditional sense. If you've ever heard of a company called Anbernic, they
They're basically
they're
basically emulation machines.
Well, the Anbernic did make
Yeah,
one.
that's what they all are at this
one of their
point.
devices
Yeah.
that ran SteamOS. It was like right when the Steam Deck was being released. It was like 6 months later, I think, that they released their SteamOS device as well. So, yeah.
I wanted to bring up. There's this little console that my friend Katie, has.
Mhm.
Oh, I've
It's
heard of
like
this.
It's a handheld, and it has like a crank.
Yeah.
I've seen that. They're
And
so
it has
cool.
it pretty much only has games that like actually use the crank mechanic, and it's like they keep making new games for it, and it's like really small. It's not supposed to be like literally a full fucking console, but it's like it's a cool little thing. Like it's got a little package of games.
Well,
and it's like a
while
little
we're ta-
portable game thing.
While we're
I've seen it
talking
play it.
about general PCs that are
Sounds
handheld,
I don't
big
remember
one.
what it's called.
back in 2016 or 2017, there was this thing called a pocket chip. The chip was like a separate thing. It was a little computer, a little single board computer, kind of trying to ape off like the Raspberry Pi Zero. And they made the pocket chip where the chip slots in the back, and it's a little handheld PC with like a little keyboard and stuff. I still have it. The battery expanded a long time ago, and I had to extract that. But yeah, it was a really cool thing. It came
Ooh.
with Pico 8, and I wrote when I was riding the bus to my work at the time, I wrote Ako-chan and the Communist Party, which I consider one of my magnum opuses, even though it's not finished and probably never will be because I'm in a different place in my life now. But
Ooh.
I thought that was so cool back in the day. And it ran Debian, by the way.
That's based. Fucking
well,
based.
We're around 2 hours. Do we want to get to Krona's?
Petra.
Sorry,
Oh,
Petra's. Yeah.
I don't have much to say because I'm still asleep. But
Well, still.
Everyone else got to advocate for
Tell
their
us-
favorite console, so we'll give
Tell
you a
us about your
chance.
Goo
You
Goo
have the
Gaga
floor.
box.
my Goo Goo Gaga box is fucking. There's so many. So first of all,
Shit's cool.
Goo Goo Gaga box is portable because they put a fucking handle on it. It's cool. The
Lunchbox.
GameCube
True.
has a handle on the back, and you can pick it up. And it's kind of tiny, and you can take it over to your friend's house and be like, "Let's play the GameCube, bitch."
Yeah.
You can put it in a suitcase, and I've done this before. I took it with me to like high school and college a few times, where it's just like I threw it in a bag, and it was tiny enough I could just take it anywhere. So it's kind of like a handheld. 2, it can play Game Boy Advance games. You stick a little butt plug in it, and it becomes taller, and then you put your little cartridges in it, and it's like, whoa! I can
Okay.
play my Game Boy Advance on it.
As someone who
Boom.
loves Game Boy games, that thing legitimately was a game changer for me. Because I was gassing up the Super Nintendo earlier. That one's accessory can only do original Game Boy. It can't do Game Boy Color, it can't do Game Boy Advance. The GameCube does all of them, and it's awesome.
Game Boy Advance also 90% of the library is SNES. So you basically have SNES games
Yep.
on your fucking
Yeah.
GameCube. And a couple N64 games because like they've been ported over through like Ocarina of Time, Master Quest, and whatever.
Zelda
It is the ultimate Zelda machine. They have literally like every Zelda game ever made on the GameCube. So if you ever want to like up
Did
until that
you
point,
have
could
the
play every
anniversary
Zelda.
disc?
No.
Oh my gosh.
I didn't like Zelda growing up.
So
I'm advocating for it post hoc.
that's the thing. I didn't own Zelda on the 64, so my brother had borrowed the anniversary disc, and that's how I played every single Zelda up
That's
until Wind Waker.
awesome.
And it had a Wind Waker demo, so it made me really excited for Wind Waker actually coming out.
Because that was the coolest thing ever that I saw. Because I think the anniversary disc, I think it includes like all the NES Zeldas
Yes.
plus Link to the Past.
All of them.
So that's all of the main Zeldas. And then you have Ocarina of Time plus Master Quest.
And Majora's
you
Mask.
don't have... Oh,
It had
you have
Majora's Mask.
on
That's
that?
how I played it.
Yep.
Oh, fuck.
It had everything. It was the best thing ever. I wish we just stole it. We should not have given it back.
And you have Wind Waker, and you have Twilight Princess. All you're missing out on are the 2 Breath games, Breath of the Kingdom and fucking Skyward Ass Piss Pee-Pee. I've heard that game's stinky. Aaron Hansen told me I'm allowed to shit on it when I was 16, so I'm allowed to have that opinion. So
I like
made it
Skyward
cool.
Sword. Okay, it's better.
I've never
than
played
Wind
it,
Waker.
but I'm allowed to call it pee pee poo poo because Aaron Hansen told me to when I was a baby. Anyways, you have basically every Zelda game you could ever want on this thing. You have some of the cool, like, nicher games, like Mario Sunshine, like the weird, like, experimental games for no reason. You have Metroid Prime.
Metroid Prime
Pikmin.
fucks.
I love Pikmin.
Pikmin is really cool.
And the controller is really
It's
stupid
a bop
looking,
it.
but it is a fucking bop it. But once you get to know it, it is like the most ergonomically, like, best way to teach someone how to use a game. You like use a controller, and it just feels great in the hands. You basically just have one central button with like a little spiral around it.
Yeah.
For an alien who's watching this episode that's never seen a GameCube controller in their life.
I think those controllers are a little overhyped, mostly because of the D-pad.
They are.
It's like, it's good for Smash. It's the best possible controller for like Smash Bros. And a lot of 3D platformers. But if you try to play a 2D game with that controller, it's like we talk about the Game Boy games. I bought a third-party adapter so I could plug a Super Nintendo controller into that thing because I wanted a
the
good
D-pad
D-pad.
is really bad.
Listen,
I
real
use
quick,
it at
Brand,
D-pad is probably
my
one of the
friends
worst D-pads ever.
insist
They-
on using the
That's
analog
tolerable.
stick in 2D games. They insist on it and think I'm weird for wanting to use the D-pad in 2D games, and I just it feels better.
It
does.
works better. Like it it's just like faster.
Your thumb
more
has to
responsive.
travel a longer distance with
Yeah.
like a thumbstick, and you have less like direct control over where you're
Yeah.
going.
I remember being
just
a
objectively.
kid. I remember playing like New Super Mario Brothers on the Wii U and playing it with the thumbstick, just like without thinking about it. And I was like, why is this game so much harder than the one on the Wii? What the fuck?
Okay.
And then I looked down and I thought about it for a second. I'm like, there's a D-pad. And I tried playing with the D-pad, and instantly the whole game was like baby mode. Like, okay.
I will.
I played. Sorry.
I was gonna say, I don't remember if I mentioned this in my Vita glazing, but like, if you can hear this button, like
The
the
Vita D-pad
D-pad
is the
is
best D-pad ever created.
clicky. It's clicky.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
It is.
When I
It's
went
so
from this,
good.
from the freak,
Like-
whenever I touch my DSs after this, I'm like, oh my god, why does Nintendo always cheap out on this shit? They used to be good.
Also, the Vita's D-pad like has the distinct like cut in, so that they feel like separate buttons without actually being separate. So you can still do like for fighting games, it's great because you can get those diagonal inputs. It is like the best D-pad ever. There's nothing that is ever compared to it, and like it feels like it feels like a lost love that like you can just never get back. Because it's like
The
every
D-pad
other
is
thing wants,
considered
like,
so
shitty
secondary.
D-pads.
Like,
It is.
when
Yeah.
you see the Switch and it's because of the Joy-Cons. It doesn't have a real D-pad. I mean, the Lite has a D-pad, and it kind of sucks.
Yeah, this is why I've gone third party for all my controllers. Like PC, Nintendo Switch, I buy third party because the official controllers nowadays have the shittest D-pads of
They
all time.
suck.
I played
The
the
Pro
Switch
controller's
2
trash.
kiosk. They have it like a Target, a little kiosk that you can demo Switch 2 games. The new Pro controller is somehow worse than the last one. The D-pad feels
Ugh,
like
how?
melted cheese. It's so squishy.
I
It
have
Yeah.
so
misreads
it in front of me,
inputs.
and I vehemently disagree. I like this Pro controller so much.
In a
Like-
lot of ways, it's better, but the D-pad's worse. Like, to me, it feels significantly worse.
You know what? Actually, I
don't
can
know
grab
if I
the
hate-
other one. I can compare it right now.
Yeah.
I don't know if I hate
we're
the
talking-
soft D-pads
I didn't buy
or
the Switch
if I
2
hate
thing
the
'cause it's like
Xbox
$90.
like sundial ass fucking like what is it, the fucking solar panel D-pad
Oh,
that
I
Xbox
hate
has
those.
where it's like a big
Sucks.
circle.
I was
Oh
just
yeah, the
fiddling with
360. So the 360 controller has one of the worst D-pads of all time.
Yeah.
But I really like the D-pad on the Xbox One and Series controller. It's the little clicky one.
I need it to be clicky.
I mean, even
It's okay.
yeah. Well, I mean, even if you don't like it, I think you'll agree that it's a massive improvement over the 360 D-pad. I mean, Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah.
The Vita D-pad is still the best. It is the best D-pad ever designed. It is the peak of D-pad technology. If we made a D-pad tier list, everything Nintendo would be at the absolute bottom. It would be in Z tier, and then meanwhile you would
Except
have
the Super Nintendo.
Vita
Super
at
Nintendo's the best
Super
D-pad.
Nintendo D-pad's pretty good.
But then you had see Super Nintendo would be like at like S tier. The Vita would like reach like the pantheon of heaven, and it would look down upon everything, and it would laugh, and it would piss all over everything, and they would all just bow down in its golden glory.
Nintendo
and it's just
invented the
amazing.
D-pad. Know your fucking history, you plebeians. Bow down to your king.
So
I don't care that it
talk
invented
about
it. The
the
Vita
GameCube.
perfected it.
get back
Yeah,
to the
the
GameCube, not to the Vita. Because talk about the Vita for 3
The
hours
shit
already.
cube.
Like, the Nintendo shit cube. I
Nintendo shit cube.
I have a hard time agreeing with the GameCube glazers because not that there's anything really wrong with it, just that when I look at all the list of everyone's like GameCube bangers, I'm just like, yeah, they're pretty good. They're not Chrono Trigger though. Like it's like
Yeah.
you've got Mario Sunshine, It's like the buggiest Mario. Wind Waker is like the most straightforward baby mode Zelda. You got
I love Baby Zelda.
I think
Twilight
Baby
Princess,
Zelda.
though. Twilight
I give
Princess
the
rules.
GameCube
fucking
points
banger.
for
That one's great.
having Vex on it,
I love
though it loses points for doing Vex. Sorry, I think it gets points for having the game Vex on it, but
Okay.
it loses points for doing it worse than the Xbox.
So,
Yeah.
so
for me,
when
my
I-
goats on the GameCube are Metroid Prime and Resident Evil 1 remake, and the rest of them, I mean, like, there's like
Yeah.
So-
they made ports of the Sonic Adventure games, and they have
Just every
glitches where you
multi-platform
fall through the
generation,
floor.
So-
It runs
Yeah.
really great on there,
Isn't that cool?
and it feels great to play.
I
just 'cause
will
of
give
the-
Petra this about the GameCube. Those little CDs are really cute.
they are.
They
So-
are
so
really
cute.
cute.
Well, they were actually
Also
made
has Shadow the
DVDs,
Hedgehog, isn't that
actually,
awesome?
But I do want to mention when I was a kid, my mother used to date a guy, and his son had a PS2, and that was where I played Mercenaries Playground of Destruction, amazing game, and Need for Speed Most Wanted, which is also an amazing game. But when I went
Yes.
to emulate it, I emulated it first on the GameCube because it was just easier to emulate there. But then I went to try it on the PS2 emulator, and I realized, I had forgotten, you have to use the face button for Need for Speed Most Wanted on the PS2. On the GameCube, you use the analog triggers, and that just feels so much better. So there is a lot to be said for the analog triggers, well, quote-unquote triggers, on the GameCube controller.
Yeah.
Because they don't really look like triggers, but,
Sunshine is so
They're bubbles.
unplayable for me on the Switch. I have to play it on the GameCube.
That was like the first thing I thought of when they announced that Mario All Stars thingy. I was like, how are you? Because I noticed that early on with getting a Switch. I'm like, oh, this one doesn't have analog triggers. That kind of sucks, actually. Like I hadn't considered before that how important analog triggers are. So when they announced the Mario game, I was like, how the fuck are they gonna do Mario Sunshine? The answer is that they
Bad.
just didn't fix it.
nice.
They just let it suck.
Yeah.
So that's cool. Just didn't account for the lack of analog.
No, they just put it on two separate triggers. They're like, you can use the light one or the heavy one, which is stupid.
So
yeah,
dumb.
I hated that so much. I was just like, okay, I just got all the stars in like Mario 64 because that's my childhood game, and I
Yeah.
started playing Sunshine. I played it for like 10 minutes. I was like, this is unplayable, and I never touched the Anniversary Collection again or whatever the fuck it was. I was like, no.
don't remember if you can even, because you can use a GameCube controller, I'm pretty sure, with the Smash Bros. Adapter. I don't
So-
even remember. It might not even have analog.
It's because they got sued over that by a third-party controller maker, I believe.
So
What?
It's like old history.
The fuck?
So there is a Nintendo Switch Online GameCube controller if anybody has Super Mario Sunshine on the Switch and wants to have a better experience.
I have 4 of those.
Oh my god.
I stocked up on
Nice.
those.
I have the N64 one.
I thought
Whenever they crack it to let them use you on the PC, I'm so ready for that.
I thought about buying Nintendo's official like N64 controller for the Switch because emulating N64 games is a nightmare because the analog stick just has a fundamentally like different radius from every other controller's stick
It does.
on Earth.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I need like
Yeah.
one that feels like a real N64 controller. And then
So-
instead I went to my local gamer store and I bought a USB adapter
Oh,
for like
nice.
$10. It works
Oh, I
perfectly
was
fine.
gonna say, yeah, that's a good idea. I don't think they even natively work. Like, I know the GameCube one doesn't currently natively work, even though it does have Bluetooth.
Yeah.
But what's really cool about those is Nintendo has their old molds from, way back in the day, like when they were making the NES stuff all the way up through now with the GameCube. It literally feels like just a brand new one of those controllers. Like, every single one of them is like 99% identical. Because obviously the plastic like injection is going to change a little bit over time.
Yeah. Pretty cool though.
It is really cool because I mean that's what they did for Smash Wii U when they remade GameCube controllers
Yeah.
like 10 years later.
I wonder how their Super Nintendo gamepads feel, because I always thought about getting one, but I'm like worried that the D-pad's not going to be the same as the old one.
I have one. I have. My brother has an original Super Nintendo. You can compare it to, so I can actually run a test on that.
That would be
I'll
epic.
get back to you later.
Cool.
I have
So-
a bone to pick with emulation in this point where
Yeah.
so they ported Pokemon Stadium and Stadium 2 to the Switch.
Yeah.
It's fucking worthless because okay, I played with rentals, but that game is not good with rentals. Like there are speedrunners who like play that game and they're like, it's all luck, it's so bad. Like you can only easily beat the game if you like are able to transfer in Pokemon, and they just did not consider, like they just don't give a crap. Even though they have the Pokemon Home, like they could have you like be able to transfer things in, but they don't care, and they just like they're like, oh look, we gave you the games you used to play, but it's not the same because you don't have the attachments, you don't have like connectivity. It's just half baked crap.
Yeah, they're
Even
so
if you
fucking
even if you
lazy.
do have the transfer pack, it's still so funny to me that the transfer pack is just the Super Nintendo Game Boy but it only runs Pokemon games.
Yeah.
It
Oh,
can
yeah, I
run
showed you
5
that.
games and nothing else. Yeah.
I
It was
think I got
same
the
borders
game.
and everything.
I got the game to boot like once, and then it refused to boot again. I was like, I just want to transfer over my Pokemon from my 20-year-old save files.
All right. I
Yeah.
think we're about out of time, so I think we got to wrap up the show for now. But all of our viewers at home, feel free to write a comment below. Tell us what your favorite video game console is. Tell us if you think any one of us is right. If you think any of us is, if you think one of us is absolutely wrong and you feel very passionately about it, feel free to use every slur while you tear us to shreds.
Dox us too. Dox us.
Yes.
Expose all our personal information. Fire bullets into our house. All
Yes,
types
of
of stuff.
course.
Call
Send
the SWAT
hitmen to destroy
Yeah,
your
SWAT
body,
us.
mind, and spirit.
Send
know,
pictures of
pray
our
to
faces
God to
and our
smite
full
us,
names and our
destroy us,
social security numbers to the
annihilate us.
president.
Where was
Turn us
East
to
German
dust.
boy on
Tell
9/11?
all of our private info to China.
God damn it.
Yeah, bomb our house. Tell the president that we're a
So
threat. Get us deported, and then have our whole house bombed. All that good
Yo,
shit.
I do not agree with this. Do not do this to me. You can do it to everyone else.
Yeah, everyone but Abby.
Don't do it to me.
Yeah, Abby's a very cool gamer.
Okay. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Meow meow.